I don't know why I let you, but you had to let us spoken me. Lost control, falling over, getting pulled in by your gravity. Thought that I had figured it out, never felt it rationally. you explore imperfect visions like I've been here before. Falling faster, I try to ignore. I see you, I see you. I'll let you drag me to hell if you hold my hand. Tell me this is real and it will never end. This is not what I came here to find. Memories show that I'm out of time. See a shadow, don't know if it's mine, but I see you, I see you, I see you, I see you. I'll let you drag me to hell if you hold my hand. Tell me this is real and it will never end.
Hello and welcome everybody to the semifinals of the NECC Collegiate Marvel Rivals Tournament. It has been a grueling 7 weeks of regular season, 1 week of playoffs so far, and then we've got our grand finals next week. Vaudable, how are you doing? We have made it. We are here for our first Collegiate Marvel Rivals semifinals match. That's insane to say, by the way.
It's amazing to be here. Shout out to NetEase and shout out to NECC for even making this a possibility. The first ever official semester of Collegiate Marvel Rivals is almost at a close, and it's bittersweet to see the teams who have risen to the top and fallen by the wayside as they have gone through the motions in their individual divisions. I believe we've had 8 divisions that people have been able to compete amongst themselves to try and be the best that they can amongst their peers, and now we're in almost the final journey for these teams. Some of them will end here as well, depending on brackets, of course. For Div 1 and Div 2, I believe that they have those double elimination brackets, but we have the rosters here for our first series of the day. It's Grizz Maroon facing off against Kansas State University Junior Varsity, not the varsity team. We saw them a couple of times, and now I get to see the little bit of the JV action here, Shibby.
Yeah, Kansas State University. We've had them twice now on the broadcast. If you're familiar with people like D-Bread and those guys, we've got to see both a loss and a victory from that squad here. And now I'm interested to see if this JV team can glean anything from their varsity team, if they have somehow siphoned the powers from their varsity team, if they can
their
come
energy.
up here, yeah, taking their energy, maybe a la Rogue potentially. But yeah, I'm interested to see if this, this junior varsity team can replicate some of the successes of their varsity team here. But they are going up against a formidable opponent, Grizz Maroon. And Vaudable, we are on to Hydra Charter's base.
That we are, Shibby, that we are.
Wouldn't be a Shibby Vaudable cast if I didn't rant about this map enough. You guys already know, if you've been here before, I despise this domination map. It is just not fun to play. There are so many better choices. I'm not surprised that Celestial Husk was banned, though. I mean, that is unfortunately just not a fun map for people to play. But I did want to get back onto that Grizz Maroon point, because that is a formidable challenge.
True.
Specifically, Grizz Maroon has one of the highest rated tank players in the game. They have a 1 above all Vanguard, 1 above all 500 points, by the way. That's not low, 1 above all. That is like mid to high level. This
Not
person has competed on teams like Solaris Academy, Euphoria. Like, they have competed in the MRC and stuff like that. They are a aspiring pro player, Olive. And I'm really gonna be interested to see what she can do and how much of her will she can exert onto Kansas State University, because having a 1 above all player is insane for any team at any level.
Well, I was going to mention this as well. Specifically, this is the full co-ed roster that we see here for Grizz Maroon. They have half women players and half men players on them, or non-binary on their side as well. So seeing how that works together, and we've seen a lot of it in pro play on the side of Valentina. We've seen Aramore. We've seen these prominent names throughout the scene for Marvel Rivals. It's nice to see it in collegiate as well. I mean, we casted some high school stuff recently where we saw a woman talent able to perform really well for their team. So it's just great to see that a game like Marvel Rivals brings people together, unlike other esports. And speaking of esports and women specifically, well, we do see Emma bans coming through initially. I mean, I'm not too surprised. We just got off of ranting a little bit about it ourselves, and seeing how prominent Emma has been at the top level, they are just a menace to any sort of a dive composition. So if you're going to be running dive, you do not want to have to worry about Emma at all. And well, speaking of dive, we see Magic banned out, and you can see why, because there's been such a focus on Magic recently with how that they've performed on either side. So we see a couple of Magic players from Kansas State University, JV. So they banned that out immediately because they do not want to have to worry about a really good Magic player.
Yeah, and I believe we're on the Season 5 patch. Gambit actually not going to be available, I believe, for the remainder of this tournament. No Gambit, but Vaudable, there have been a slew of changes in Season 5, and that will skew what the ban phase looks like. And for Grizz Maroon, saving that Invisible Woman is so key. I was going to say, for Grizz Maroon specifically, the strategy that you can implement against them is both of their strat players, both Neonara and Brayu, are cloak invis players. That's the main supports they play. That's all they do. So if you're Kansas State, instead of banning the Emma, maybe you ban the invis, you force a cloak save potentially. There are opportunities and avenues for you to really pinch the support pool here, but I don't think they want to give Olive arguably one of her best tanks. Emma is 1, and then Mag is number 2. She's a very good. I'm
curious if we do see a Mag saved or not on that side as well. I mean, Mag's just been such a valuable asset here on the Vanguard side of things, and that's exactly what Kansas State University JV are going to save on their side. I mean, Mag is one of those main tanks for a reason, and that's why we've seen them be so prominent for such a long time. And the Jeff ban, also not surprising because of how lethal they have been, even from last patch going to this one. So there's been some good counters against them. You've been able to see a little bit more from the Hawkeye side because they can one-shot them now with the headshot reduction. And Namor, I mean, you saw the Hela get saved. You have to ban the Namor. If you do not want to deal with that combo, you have to at least get some part of it out of there. So, I mean, Hela is still going to be a menace in their own right, especially having that invulnerability with their Raven as they try to escape. They can stun people as well. Some good combos if people try to get too close to them. And as you see J-Specs, they're still going to be leaning towards it. So Not too shocking with what we see coming out of both sides in terms of the picks and the bans, but it's all going to come down to these initial hero choices for either side. And Grizz Maroon, I like the options that they're going for. They have the Wolverine to try and deal with the strong tank line of Kansas State University JV, and that'll be really effective for them, especially depending on which area that they're going to be going through with the Wolverine on this map. You can deposit them off the sides depending on that spot as well. Olive, we see them rocking the Magneto. You talked about how they were the highest level player in the lobby in terms of rank, and having a one above all level Magneto is going to be a menace to either side. So they didn't want to deal with the Emma. They're going to have to deal with the Magneto. We do see an initial pause come through, so we'll see what the issues are there. But it seems to be a tech issue on the side of Kansas State University JV. Seemed like Seabass wasn't connected just yet, so we'll get them back into the action as quickly as we can on that side of things. But composition-wise, I fear a little bit for Kansas State University, just based on the confidence that should be coming out from Grizz Maroon, and it's going to be a tough one as well, kind of looking at the rest of the playing field for these two teams going into that West playoffs and how they got here. Grizz Maroon, the second seed, going into the competition 3-0'd to make it here. On the other side, Kansas State University JV 3-2 against Bison Green. So they got their work cut out for them to try and take down the second best team so far, and we'll see how things go here.
Yeah, I think this gives us a perfect opportunity as we come back into the game here. Talk about some of the changes, right? Magneto has 2 bubbles, one for himself, one for his team. Obviously, Wolverine got buffed, right? So you have the Phoenix-Wolverine combo coming in. We'll be interested to see if we see any Groot in this tournament, because he got some massive buffs. Angela, though, for Kansas State University. Again, Flying Wolverine is what I like to call him.
That is basically what Angela is, so we'll see how effective the Angela is going to be, especially on this map where you can just deposit people into the lava afterwards. That's why we do see the Wolverine available to them. Terror Cloaks are going to be very effective if they can be a nuisance and do some good damage with that as well. The flanking of the Psylocke, I mean, we didn't even talk about Psylocke still being so effective, especially with the buffs that we've seen with Captain America being able to raise the ult charge meter even faster. You saw a couple of kidnaps come through, and Percival getting taken out already.
Percival goes down here. Teeny picks up 2 with that team up, and it's all looking Grizz Maroon after a very nice kidnap onto Kansas State. That composition falls apart immediately.
Exactly what we wanted to see from Grizz Maroon, right? Get the kidnap, initiate that way, and the rest of the dominoes fall. And that is exactly what we saw for Kansas State University JV. Once one of their main defenders went away from the point, well, they couldn't sustain themselves as best they wanted, and we saw a Flying Wolverine versus a Wolverine fight now.
Yeah, and we do see the Rocket Ultimate coming out here. Grizz Maroon is going to answer in kind with that Phoenix, and that's going to take any sort of support ultimates out of the window. And unfortunately, Kansas State doesn't have a good answer, as Brayu does pop the Cosmic Yard Amplifier. Looks like Wolverine is going to be slicing and dicing, though. Gets taken out by the Angela. It doesn't matter, because he goes absolutely crazy. A beautiful ultimate from Teeny is going to wrap up that fight very quickly, Vaudeville.
Teeny is making some massive moves on Wolverine. The buffs are great, but there's been so many buffs to the Vanguard line that you would think it would be a moot point, but proving that to not be the case, especially against these lesser experienced players on the other side, as we've seen, you know, rank-wise and competition throughout this different divisions. And I'm sure these teams are trying to increase their stock as they go through these playoffs to rise through the ranks of collegiate Marvel rivals, but this is a great pop-off for these ultimates.
Yeah, the answer to the like comes in, gets answered in kind by the invisible boundary. Leonara, good look from them, but now we see the Goddess of Death match with the Meteor M. It's going to get taken up. Olive doing a very good job denying any sort of DPS ultimates, and unfortunately for Kansas State University, they might be out of juice. What a nice Eye of Agamotto, but a heroic play from Nuzin on top of the Heaven's Faith is going to come in here and just trap everybody there. Now we see Meteor M coming in from Percival, picks up 2, and a nice little combo coming out from Nuzin and Percival to lock up that fight win.
Good staggering as well on it to the Vanguard roll there. So Grizz Maroon have their work cut out for them to get back on the objective. We'll see exactly what they can do. Specifics to the ult economy for Kansas State University JV worked out well. They used the Psylocke ultimate perfectly to bait out the invisible boundary, and that's where the fight went out well enough for them because they still had their support ults available to them. You see them still available for this next team fight. They have been holding those on as long as possible. They know, hey, if we get this one fight win, that'll be enough. But again, Percival goes down early.
Yeah, Teeny once again getting that first pick here, but a nice ultimate coming out from Brayu, and they're going to combo it up with that Inferno End Song. A damage-boosted Phoenix ultimate can do quite a bit of damage. All of it is going to pick up somebody on the back end, and unfortunately, Newzen just can't really find anybody to take off the map, although the stall potential is there. That is going to buy them valuable percentage here of Audible. The stalling coming out from Newzen, we've got to get the target focus going. The individual bubbles from Magneto, specifically Percival, have allowed them to stay on the map despite what was a trade of kills, although he's taking a ton of damage right now. Last stand, though, from Teeny is going to try to pick up one, but Seabass answers in kind with the Dance of the Butterfly, and that's going to be a Kansas State University fight win off of the back of a beautiful Dance of the Butterfly.
Because of how long Kansas State University JV lasted on that objective, they allowed enough time for Percival to get back through and use their bubbles effectively, take out the trash at the end of the fight as well, and sweep up the competition there. So this is a great look for Kansas State University JV, but will it be enough for them to hold on? I mean, looking at the ultimates as well, Olive does have that Meteor M available to them. They really just got to make sure that they have a good pick from it. It's a perfect positioning, too, for the Cosmic Giant Amplifier. We'll see if they can make anything of it, though.
Does get taken out by the End Song Inferno, but it definitely bought them some time, and Seabass is trying to farm ultimate here. J-Specs, though, does have the Hella ultimate in tow. If they do push in, most likely Olive will respond with the Meteor M. Seabass is trying to farm the ultimate, trying to confirm some kills, but we do see the Heaven's Retribution coming in, and unfortunately, Teeny is able to take Seabass off of the map. Anytime you call, Teeny Me is there with an opening pick, and I think that might be the fight win for Grizz Maroon as they take down 3.
Massive for them. We see J-Spec swapping over to the Doctor Strange, though, for the portal. It'll come through at the last moment. Barely a tick away for them to get into the action and try to hold things down.
Nice ultimate coming out from Percival, takes down Fuecoco, but then Olive answers in kind. Hikari with the Maleficence is going to come in and take multiple members, but wait a minute, another take off the map! Kansas State University, unfortunately, were able to get it into overtime, but Grizz Maroon at the last second, Vaudable, back off of Teeny Me on that Wolverine, is able to secure the point for themselves.
Oh, that's so rough, too, because J-Spec swapping over to that Doctor Strange. You heard the eye as they can take it out as well, so they can't even use the Eye of Agamotto properly. It just seemed like wrong place, wrong time for a lot of those ultimates for Kansas State University JV towards the end of it, but also MVP performance from Teeny Me, right? The way that they were able to engage and initiate the fights early for their team, getting a pick against their Magneto, so that they didn't even have the bubbles to sustain themselves, didn't have the Meteor M so often in those team fights until they got back into the fray. So the way that Teeny Me was prioritizing their targets needs to be studied by the other squad, because they needed to find a way to survive at least a little bit longer. And the targeting of Seabass, because of how effective they were on the Psylocke, was masterful.
Yeah, and Newzen has now swapped over to that Venom. Now I'm interested to see if they can actually get anything done, because Teeny Me probably salivating at the mouth seeing that swapped over, right? Angela has a little bit more survivability, has the ability to kind of duck and weave, whereas I would say Venom is a meatball for the Wolverine.
Just a bit. I'm curious to see what Hikari can do here, too, on the Doctor Strange. We didn't see as much effectiveness from the other side of Kansas State, but using that dark magic, they're going to be just clearing things out as best as possible and making it difficult for them to even hold on to their ultimate abilities. But here comes everything popping through.
Dance of the Butterfly responded with the Invisible Boundary, and we see JV coming in with the Eternal Bond, so that's multiple support ultimates coming out for both squads. We do see J-Specs, Goddess of Death is available for them, and Olive, crucially, does not have that Meteor M, but Seabass, unfortunately, gets taken down. Fuecoco on the Phoenix, gets the raw 1v1, and that should put Kansas State back temporarily.
Confident team fight wins by Grizz Maroon to start these objectives on domination is great for them, and We did see potential for a pick there. Great heals on the side of Kansas State just to keep them at least in the fight. Pushing a little bit too far forward as the sight lines are still available for Grizz Maroon, but eventually they are going to have to start something. We did see the Hell Unleashed come through. We'll see if it gets any picks though.
Goddess of Death looking to do some work. It's taken out immediately on top of the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. Olive picking up that kill. Does get respawn though. It's still a 5v6 as Fuecoco picks up Seabass, and look at Teeny hunting, salivating at them out, looking for a tank, saying give me all of them, as multiple ultimates coming out from Kansas State. We see the Meteor Ram into the Feast of the Abyss, damage boosted by the Rocket Ultimate, but it's just not going to be enough. Grizz Maroon is staying in because the Invisible Boundary is still there, and we have Olive holding on to the Meteor Ram. Fuecoco walking Kansas State down here. That's 3 going down very quickly after a heavy investment of ultimates.
So many ultimates by Kansas State University JV, and that's what I talked about for the first objective here, Shibby, is that they didn't really time their ultimates as well as they would like. They were doing really well in the 1v1s against the other team, able to take them out a couple of times, and we did see one go down for Grizz Maroon towards the end, but the beacon brought them right back into the fray, so nothing that they could really do to counteract that, and they still need to make sure that they target everything else that's available to Grizz Maroon, especially when you have a rocket on the other side. Those amplifiers have been so lethal, and the timing of these ultimates from Kansas State not as good as they would like to be. So good at target firing here, as we see from Grizz Maroon, just to keep them off the objective as long as possible. Build up that percentage, and eventually, if they drop one like they did there, it's going to be enough.
Seabass is going to pop the legendary here. Olive, again, doing a massive job with the Meteor M, just trying to absorb as much damage as possible, and Seabass gets taken down by Olive right at the end. 1 HP, what a shot from her, as now we have the Cosmic Yarn Amplifier with a massive I Am Agamotto landing onto multiple members. The support line is kaput. 2-0 for Grizz Maroon on map 1.
Statement made, especially by Hikari, and they said to bet on them, and that's exactly why we are betting on them throughout the rest of it. That is the way you play Doctor Strange, and they are the Sorcerer Supreme whenever they have control of the battlefield. But Olive was the MVP, of course. She was the one keeping their team alive through the dives and the ultimates that came through against them by Kansas State University. Even as you talked about, the damage boosted Feast of the Abyss just didn't do enough damage to them because they had so much sustaining them on those last team fights. And you can see the stats here that tell the story of it. The survivability of Grizz Maroon is really what ruled the day here. Didn't really lose as many team fights. Individual picks didn't work as well against them. And the one who was targeted the most was Hikari. And once they were able to lock in on this Doctor Strange towards the end of it, they couldn't be stopped.
Yeah, the reason why Olive is getting that MVP as well is like normally, oh, okay, well, Teeny has 12 finals. Like they did a lot of work. The difficulty it is to secure 11 final hits, being the second most on your team as a Magneto, as a Vanguard player, is tough. You have to be aware of everything that's happening and being able to capitalize on the DPS that your duelists do, right? We saw Fuecoco and Teeny get multiple people down to like half a health bar or quarter of a health bar, and that's Olive coming in and finishing that off. Without Olive, I doubt those team fights go in the way of Grizz Maroon there. So very well played. Bubble placement was excellent. Not a singular bad ultimate from Olive as well. And that's just kind of what you get when you have a one above all player. Every single ultimate is getting maximum value. Those Meteor M's, I mean, perfection. I would, no notes for those.
Looking forward, though, to convergence going ahead for these teams. Kansas State University, JV, I mean, they have their work cut out for them based on the composition. We saw the bans and how those went, right? The Emma taken out of the equation completely, but the Magneto being saved by Kansas State University, JV, was their Achilles heel at the end of it. Because they let that available to Olive, it made it so that they were in such a tough scenario whenever they tried to take them down. And well, their Magneto player, Percival, who swapped back to the Doctor Strange afterwards, just could not stay alive to save themselves because they didn't time the bubbles properly when those kidnaps were coming through. And shout out to Teeny on that specifically. I mean, that's part of the reason why they were able to come out with the victory at the end of that first objective. And it was a lot more competitive. Then once they locked in, there wasn't as many kidnaps that they had to focus on. They were just able to do enough damage to keep them at bay and always guessing where the Wolverine would be, so they kept their eyes off the rest of their team and the supports. And we didn't see as many supports being targeted towards the end either because of their positioning. So everything was on lock for the side of Grizz Maroon. They did a great job, and if they continue it going forward, they'll likely move on to those grand finals, but they still need a couple more maps here to do that, Chibi.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see the research that Kansas State has done into Grizz Maroon, because from my experience and for what I'm looking at, as we do get Hall of the Jalia for our second map. Fun convergence map. I love it. It's been played a ton. I feel like there's always, new stuff we're learning as different heroes come out and different buffs come in. But in regards to Grizz Maroon, I think they're relatively exploitable when it comes to their hero pools, right?
Yeah.
Teeny Me only plays Wolverine and Mr. Fantastic. Like, you're giving this guy his best here. And granted, you might not be worried about him because obviously they have the one above all player in Olive, but giving a GM player their best hero by far and watching what he did, that mistake should only really happen once, and maybe this was the game to really kind of test it out and say, do we need to ban this? Do we need to take this away? You're not going to be able to ban Fuecoco out because they play Psy, they play Luna,
they play
Hela.
everything. Yeah,
they're a flex player. They're duelists in their flex. They play a little bit of everything. So I think targeting Teeny Me, targeting Neunara, who on the Invisible Woman, beautiful invisible boundaries, right? I mean, just countering every single DPS ultimate consistently, and obviously Invisible Woman, the best strategist available, right? Gambit's not here. We can't play Gambit. So Invisible Woman is de facto number one. And both of those supports on Grizz Maroon, they play Invis Cloak. Those are the two most played supports for them. So I think Kansas State, maybe just bite the bullet, fight Olive on her Emma, and then you just start targeting, on paper, the weaker links of Grizz Maroon, right?
Yeah, the big thing too for these bans as well is kind of seeing, okay, what are the options that they can go for, right? Because once something is saved, it's saved for everyone. Once something is banned, it's banned for everyone. That's what you got to remember. This is the universal ban system, the simplified tournament bans. If you try to make it an option in game, and there's the Invisible Woman ban. So hey, you were talking about it. How effective in the shutdown Neunara was with that Invisible Woman, and especially because they can do so much damage as well with the buffs that we've seen. The healing is also improved because the speed of their projectiles. Hela locked in at this time again. I mean, the Hela was doing pretty decent work that we saw from J-Specs, but I think they just also want to make sure that they have something locked down to them. And you were talking so much about that Wolverine. It's like, yeah, we got to make sure we lock it in this time, because now they know our cards are on the table, and they've taken a look at our entire deck. And if they pick apart our best, aces in the hole, then we won't have much remaining for us to come out on top after the fold. But for now, the Luna Snow bans continue, and we'll see if a cloak ban comes through. I mean, there is potential for it. Yeah, I mean, especially the Terror Cloaks were so effective too.
Yeah, you shut down Grizz Maroon's whole support pool here. And maybe they got stuff on a secret account. They are going to actually remove the team up. Sure, but that, again, it wasn't the team up that was doing the heavy lifting. It was Teeny on one of his best heroes, for sure. And maybe they're viewing it as like, hey, that was the big thing. They also probably want to try to play Rocket. That's a really good save as well, because especially they get the Hela Namor. Yeah, huge on the defensive side if you're Kansas State. Now Grizz Maroon have to make the impossible decision. Do we save one of our tanks? Do we save the one support? Yeah, I think you can save Mag, you can save Emma here, and let them go crazy. They're going to save both the Wolverine and the Mr. Fantastic. Not sure I agree with this on Grizz Maroon's side, but for Olive, there's nothing you really need to save for her.
I think it's bait.
Yeah, it's got to be bait. There's no way.
Because it's the way that this is going for them is like, okay, we've seen them trying to focus specifically our offensive line, and now we're going to make it so much more difficult for them to do anything. If Wolverine isn't working at the start too, and they're targeting us so much because we don't have that sustain without the Phoenix ultimate, we can swap over to the Mr. Fantastic. Having that available to them is massive, and getting rid of the Zootopia backline as well, not having the Cosmic Yarn amplifier with the It's Jeff that gives the extra healing and can get people off the point too, is massive for this too. So it kind of evens the playing field there. We have some more focus on the duelist line, but because of that focus on it, it's made it so that the entire Vanguard line has gone through. We have Emma and Magneto available for Grizz Maroon. Neither of them have been banned. This is a win for Grizz Maroon, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's interesting because Hikari is like a thing player and plays Strange. Like, they do have Mag under their belt. They have played a handful of matches, but Olive is like definitely the Emma and the mag player on the team here. But I would put Olive on Emma. I think she's one of the best out there, very clearly, as we are going to get into the match here, and we're going to swap scenes soon.
Yeah, I like Newson actually on it too. That might be part of the reason why that they didn't ban out the Emma this time. But you see the mag Emma. If it's available, you're going to take it. And I also like seeing the Punisher here for Teeny Me to throw them off guard a little bit as well, have that extra damage available to them with the Mantis. This is massive, actually. And now they're going that triple support lineup so that they can go for the reses. This is going to be rough.
Yeah, that's all that's available for Grizmaroon, really. Brayu's going to be on the cloak, and they're going to put their DPS player, which is a very common thing, on the Mantis, and they're going to put Teeny Me on the Punisher. So the Wolverine not even picked up, nor is it the Mr. Fantastic. Mind you,
it was a bait. That's all it was.
Yeah, very interesting save here. Maybe they'll end up going for it later on. Olive, though, on the Angela. Something that she hasn't played a ton of in recent memory and looking at their match statistics. But if anyone can make it work in this setting, it's going to be her. Well, on Kansas State side, you look at it, you've got Loki, you've got Cloak, and that's already the first hit taken down. Percival gets absolutely shoved in to Grizmaroon here, and that should start this offensive.
Yeah, that's what we want to see here for Kansas State University JV, to at least sustain themselves if they can get back to their own objective, but they're getting pushed to the brink, and already the Emmas taken out of the equation themselves, seeing if they can focus on the Namor at least a little bit with the combo, slice and dice and diving through the rest of them. They can't even push onto the objective because of the Angela that is in their midst, and they're just getting Assassin's Charge straight out to the gulag here. They can't even get towards that first point, and already it's been captured here, Shibby.
Yeah, that fight was over before it really even began. Once Percival got shoved into Grizmaroon there, because unfortunately either Percival's Iron Wall got taken out because the Iron Wall now provides immobilization, or they weren't in range. I mean, that's a tough matchup, unfortunately, and Olive took full advantage of it. And now Vaudable, here becomes the dance where Grizmaroon has a nice little ultimate economy advantage once we start seeing these percentages go up. Seabass does have that Namor ult available, and we'll see how much damage it can actually do.
Yeah, and also having that anti-heal is a massive thing too, if they can combo those together and use that to fruition. But we already see Neonara getting a pick there on the Adam Warlock. That's huge. We see the Heaven's Ascension here going, or Heaven's Retribution, excuse me, going as well, just to restrain everyone in front of the objective. Goddess of Death does reign above with J-Specs, but they are getting blocked out by the Angela, and that's a quick way to deal with them. Eternal Bond comes through, trying to send Specs back towards their teammates to take them out, but they aren't going to be going down so easily, especially with these great heals from the rest of their backline. Kansas State University JV doing everything that they can to hold on to their ultimates, because they saw how they didn't work out as well before, but that was a massive pick onto the Emma, and things are just going awry. Seabass, even with the double, isn't enough. Grizmaroon stays back in the fight. The reses come through onto the Adam Warlock, and they continue to walk it down.
Eternal Bond coming in from Jay to contest at the last second, but Ari does whiff the Meteor M, and now we see the Psionic Seduction coming in. That's going to be Newzen trying to stall, and it's doing just enough. Like you mentioned, Vaudable, that double kill coming out from Seabass starts the flame, the flicker of defense, and Grizmaroon actually get held.
This is what we wanted to see for the side of Kansas State University JV. The way that they are performing on these ranged heroes with these long sight lines and just picking apart the pieces of Grizmaroon and making them having to reassemble their offensive line towards the objective makes it questionable for them sticking with the composition that they have. So see if Olive does stick on the Angela. They'll be trying to be sniped out of the skies by that duelist lineup of the JV team. But even then, Grizmaroon, they have plenty of time available to them, which is on their side, but that was a huge pick. A double again by J-Spec. This is their hero for a reason.
Yeah, J-Spec's coming in with a nice double. Percival as well have already stuffed out Grizmaroon, and again, some of these fights have just ended before they're really allowed to start, and this is a hella map, right, Vaudable? Like, you can get up on that high ground. There's so many different sight lines. Like, J-Specs is at a firing range and sees the biggest red dots on Grizmaroon.
I feel like the Punisher might not be the best option right now, especially with where we see the positioning of the Kansas State University JV team. I know they're trying to get around from them. They're holding on to their ultimate for the perfect time and getting rid of at least those Loki clones for now. But we do have the Judge, Jury, Executioner here. Final Judgment comes through. Meteor M wasted as well. Perfect block for the Angela. But there's the Namor and also the DPS and support line taking out the Punisher. They can't even stay alive long enough because nobody was focusing on them. From Grizz Maroon, we do see more ultimates pop from both sides. Olive does drop down to at least slice and dice the competition and see if they can at least get them away from the objective. That's exactly what they do. Run them away from the point, take them out of the equation, and they don't have to worry anymore about map problems being solved for this checkpoint. But so much room was given to the JV team that they could get back on the objective, but they're giving it up to them, it looks like.
Yeah, they needed to swap the spawn here. Runes does get used. And a really well-played fight from Grizz Maroon. Despite not getting the kills they needed with the Final Judgment, it allowed them to get that much space so they can start popping some of their more impactful ults, right? Heaven's Retribution coming in and really just looking at the damage that Olive is doing. Like, sure, J-Specs is coming in with these kills. Sure, they're coming in with a lot of these long-range pokes, but you have to do that every single time. You have to be perfect every single fight, and that's just a monumentous task for J-Specs, who is getting chased out by Olive. You are not allowed to play the game, and Olive is still going in. She's 10 feet deep into the back line of Kansas State University, and nothing that Kansas State can do is stopping this Grizz Maroon tank line.
No footholds allowed in this household from Grizz Maroon. They will try to wreck their plans as they are being laid carefully, but the Psionic Seduction is going to make it a little bit more difficult for them to do anything about this here, Shibby.
Both Eternal Bonds coming in. Percival, though, is going to have to land the Meteor M of Dreams as Olive is just still a menace in the backline. Meteor M does get used. Goddess of Death for J-Specs, and it is looking to get blocked out. But once again, when it's popped in front of 6 members, it's going to go down lickety-split. Seabats, though, does have Final Judgment available. Olive as well. Heaven's Retribution has been popped. Final Judgment for Teeny as well. They're going to look to capitalize on multiple kills. That is a firing range of the ages as Teeny Me just has to point and click and shoot heads off of Kansas State University. Turret comes out and Grizz Maroon should be winning this fight. Percival goes down as well, and the turret is unstoppable, and they are not able to get onto the point. Kansas State, there's just too much damage. There's too much DPS.
They even had a couple of heroes in the wing, but they just were waiting for the right time to strike together, and they got caught up in the semantics of it all to say, no, you go first. No, you go first. Let's wait for everyone to be ready to go towards the objective. No, you need someone to be able to stall, and I think that's the difficulty when you have a hero pool that you are playing in these collegiate matches and you don't have a Captain America available to you, right? We saw, some Venom before too, but you need to have somebody able to swap on a dime like that in those final moments to at least stall things out long enough for your team to revive and get back into the fight. And that's why we didn't see that happen for Kansas State University JV, is because they didn't have that really available to them. I mean, looking at their line, they have, a Thor that they could try and do some stuff, but they don't have any sustain. They don't have any heals or anything themselves, and extra shield available to them. And seeing the Mag Emma be like the mainstay for their side, and why that went through before, but I'm really curious on what we see from them. And what we do see the Penny Parker lineups this time with the mines. We'll see if anyone does fall for that on the end of it. So I like to swap to the Penny, but I don't think we're going to stick with it instead. But Kansas State University JV have their work cut out for them. At least, thankfully, it's not too much time in favor of Grizz Maroon, but we saw how they struggled to win those initial team fights, and it's going to be even more crucial with the time that is remaining for them.
Grizz Maroon, potential to full hold Kansas State University here. Very, very likely in their cards with the way Olive and Hikari have been playing. Teeny Me on their 3rd best hero, or even 4th, and we already see the push coming in. Percival is going to get removed immediately. The kidnap from Olive has been absolutely crucial in either starting these fights or stopping these offensive pushes, and Kansas State has to reset here.
Great focuses on Percival every time. We saw in the last map with the Wolverine, you mentioned Angela is a flying Wolverine as a tank. And that's what they were doing, focusing the Magneto because they have that sustainability with their bubbles, the self bubble, the support bubble that they can do with their teammates if any ultimates do come out eventually as well, and more kidnaps. They don't want to have to worry about that. So getting them out of there quickly just makes it so they can build up their ultimates a bit safer than what we would have seen previously. So I'm liking this positioning too from Teeny Me, just to make sure that they can build up their final judgment, staying away from the Terror Cloaks as best as possible. Do have the Horn come through as well, but misplaced and mistimed, and it's back to the stomping grounds for Kansas State University JV, where they're just struggling to find the best placement for their ultimates.
And Swolefry is going to copy their own Cloak and Dagger. Eternal Bond coming in. A lot of that damage, trash damage we call about, looking to, you know, build these support ultimates. Fokoko comes in with that Mantis ult. Olive has already picked up Seabass. So that offensive from Kansas State is going to be a little rough. And even if they do get wiped, it doesn't matter. Final Judgment gets popped along with Heaven's Retribution, and Eternal Bond on top is just going to push Kansas State back, forcing them away. Say, get away from my point. You're not allowed here. Grizz Maroon doing a fantastic job just stalling time. 2 minutes left on the clock for Kansas State, and their tank line is still here, but I think they have to back up.
That's all they care about at this point, is stalling that time. They don't care if, you know, they use an ultimates, and some people say, oh, you didn't get a pick. It's not a worthwhile ultimate. It doesn't matter. I mean, there is a good pick from Hikari there as well on Grizz Maroon to just take them apart at the seams, especially with J-Specs going down so quickly, and Newson as well. They can't even push onto the objective, and look at the time remaining here, Chevy. There's only a little bit more than what was remaining at the end of it for Grizz Maroon. Time ticking down, and so are the chances of Kansas State University JV getting on the point.
And Teeny Me might have another Final Judgment up before Kansas State can even mount an offensive here. It's looking rough. Kansas State has been in a war of attrition, and they are slowly losing ground. Grizz Maroon on the back of this defense. Seabass is going to pop that horn, lands onto 5 members, but unfortunately, it can't get one singular kill. 5 members got CT'd. J-Specs is going to pop the Goddess of Death, but that's going to be answered in kind with dual Meteor M's, and whose is better? Percival lands it onto 2, but the big thing is Neomara, I believe, does have that res again, so we do see the Karmic Revival. It's another team fight for Kansas State. You wiped them once, but can you wipe them again? Teeny Me is going to pop out with the Final Judgment. It is going to get answered in kind. Double Eternal Bond. 2 ultimates used for Kansas State University. Is it enough healing, though? Is it enough damage from Grizz Maroon? It may not be enough. J-Specs picked up Teeny Me. Heaven's Retribution does come down, but multiple kills going to Kansas State. Despite the res, despite the team fight, Grizz Maroon does go down. 2 free chances, and Kansas State is able to lock it up at the end.
30 seconds was about what was remaining towards the end of that full hold by Grizz Maroon. The res just bought them enough time so that they can tick things down at least a little bit more so. They knew that the fight was likely lost, especially with the Mag ult taking out 2 of their supports. Then we quickly saw the Mantis vanquished afterwards. So Grizz Maroon did what they needed to waste time on the clock. That's what they were hoping for. They want to try and prevent them from even getting to OT, but if it does get there, to have that advantage, to be on defense like they were this time, because they're able to hold even longer than we've seen in previous series past against these squads. But some good picks coming out from Kansas State, and this is exactly what they look for.
Yeah, the horn coming in from Seabass absolutely just dunks onto multiple members from Grizz Maroon. And despite a rocky offensive first push, they have breezed through this first point.
Yeah, that's what we want to see from Kansas State. With all the time that it took for them to get that first objective captured, they need to quickly make up lost efforts and get that second checkpoint. But this is the hardest one for them, especially with these choke points by TDM. Nobody's paying them any mind whatsoever. They're just playing tower defense in their own little turret land, and nobody was dealing with them at least till the last second there. So great defensive posturing by the side of Grizz Maroon. They're looking for that first pick, and we'll see if it comes out.
Eternal Bond coming in from Swolefry on top of the Psionic Seduction. Should land on multiple members. Fokoko lands in kind with the Mantis ultimate. And now we've got Shotgun Punisher here. Teeny Me has Final Judgment available. Big Meteor M unfortunately doesn't land onto multiple members. J-Specs picks up a kill in the Goddess of Death now, looking to pick up more, but again gets answered with the Eternal Bond. But Nyanara does have the Atom Res available, but I think they just have to give this away. It's second point confirmed for Kansas State.
Barely any time wasted by Kansas State. That's what we wanted to see from this squad, making up for their past mistakes and then some. And Percival, they have been having the patience of a saint for their Meteor M. We saw them wait for the time to strike in that first objective. Now they're just waiting because they know that Teeny Me has the final judgment available. They want to make it a moot point. They want to get rid of the back line and find the best placement for it, because that's where they lacked that initial engagement and defensiveness from their Meteor M's in that domination. So we'll see what they can do with it.
Final judgment coming in, and there you go. Percival gets answered in kind. Unfortunately, unable to get the dunk on. Instead, Teeny Me takes down Percival, but J-Specs gets revenge for his tank. Unfortunately, it still is a 5v4 for Kansas State, and they are unfortunately going to get backed away. Very well played from Grizz Maroon on the ult trade, and a nice stagger onto J-Specs potentially.
Yeah, sent back from whence they came. Good snipe from Fagogo. Just making it so J-Specs is a moot point on that objective. So back for the reset is Kansas State University JV. A little under a minute and a half remaining, but guaranteed if it goes to OT, Grizz Maroon will have defense first, and that's what they were hoping for at the least if it does go down to that. Great bubble from Percival, so they don't even have to worry about the kidnap, and maybe not the best kidnap from the Angela, but they need to be pushing towards this objective and fast. They're getting distracted a little bit too much by Olive, and she's doing her job.
Yeah, Olive being a menace in the backline, like you mentioned, laudable, and unfortunately Percival is just taking too much damage because everybody's turning around to look at Olive. He's not getting any support, he's not getting any healing. J-Specs picks up Teeny once again, and they're gonna Lancer with the Eternal Bond onto the Mantis Ultimate. Also, Karmic Revival coming in just to get bodies onto this point. 45 seconds left. We might be in last fight territory. Another Heaven's Retribution from Olive, but the Hell Unleashed coming in from J-Specs. It needs to pick up much, but it doesn't take anyone down at all. Seabass, though, over the top, takes down one support. Seabass takes down another. That's two strategists down for Grizz Maroon. They're gonna have to reset, surely. Olive and the gang can't hold this.
We saw 3 ultimates come out from Grizz Maroon, the Karmic Revival, the Soul Resurgence, and we saw the Heaven's Retribution, and it was working out decent enough to just keep them on this corner. Final Judgment as well, but they need to get some good picks of it, though.
Final Judgment, unfortunately, does not get anything. Teeny goes down to the grave, and J-Specs just coming alive at the end. This is why he picks Hella, because on the drop of a hat, this guy can just turn it up to 100.
It'll be enough, though. That's what we need to see from J-Specs. And they actually go down a bit too early. Portal comes through as well from Percival to at least get them back on the objective and provide some covering fire from the flank. And they don't want to have to worry about that Assassin's Charge from Olive. And it's a decent showing for them, but they got to deal with them right in front of their faces and try to get them off this objective quick and fast because time is ticking down in this OT.
Meteor M coming in from Hikari. Unfortunately, does get blocked. JV pops the Eternal Bond here. Both Eternal Bonds get popped here. Percival, though, is building up towards that Eye of Agamotto. 85% right now. Swolfry also has the copy available, but is it enough? Nice Heaven's Retribution on top of the Mantis Ultimate. Should give them enough sustain, but here comes the Eye of Agamotto. He's got to look for something massive right now. It wants to be popped. He's looking for the moment, but he's got to get it before he gets taken down. There's just so much damage on the side of Grizz Maroon. Nayanara as well has the Karmic Revival. Seabass does pick up Teeny, lands the Eye of Agamotto onto 2 members, does get slept, but it doesn't matter. Born again, Karmic Revival, Grizz Maroon, they're back. They didn't hear no bell. Kansas State University has to fight them once again. Overtime, last slit, but J-Specs again comes back alive. He's looking for the headshot. He's looking for the kill confirms. Can he will his team to an overtime victory? He's gotten down multiple members. The portal comes in from Grizz Maroon. Teeny and Olive, the only ones left to stall on the map. Olive does have Heaven's Retribution, 99%, but there's no supports. There's no more strategists. Kansas State, at the last second, brings it to an OT.
That was an Avengers level threat faced off by Kansas State University JV, and they vanquished it at the end. They didn't hear no bell, and they felt they could do it all day. We can put in all the references you want, but what we need to reference is numbers that were put up by Kansas State University JV. I mean, specifically, Swolfry doing great, of course, there on the Loki, but seeing how J-Specs got 21 final hits, that has been the difference maker. They only got 9 elims total, mind you, in the previous map. They have been a menace here on the Hella, and Unleashed is what we have seen. Hell Unleashed against this team of Grizz Maroon. So we got to see Kansas State University JV showcase the brilliance that we witnessed towards the end there and really usurp Grizz Maroon from their hold on the objective, because it took them a lot more than a minute to capture it last time.
Get ready.
I mean, J-Specs had 4 finals at the beginning of that half, right? Like, he wasn't even really doing that crazy. He couldn't find his groove, couldn't find his rhythm, but J-Specs has entered flow state. Vulnerable, like,
Yes.
the amount of work, and this
Edge.
is no diss to Seabass, because Seabass had some very impactful ultimates, right, on the name war. But realistically, J-Specs carried that last fight, carried the last 3 fights, if I'm going to be quite honest.
Yeah.
It was finding the kill confirms, was finding the headshots on the multiple members. Teeny Me, Brayu, Nayunara, they just could not escape his line of sight here. And now, let's see if Kansas State, like you mentioned, can get this going, because 15 seconds have already passed. They only have a minute to take this point.
They need to get there fast, and seeing them just take it down Main Street might not be the best option for them. They're keeping their eyes out as best they can for all of. We saw the Terror Cloak used against them too, so that they can't even sustain themselves as much as they would like. In the back line, they have to go back and forth, and I feel like an Emma might have been a better option for them towards the end there to even prevent them from being in this scenario, but you can only look back at the end of a game, and right now Kansas State University JV are looking for, and they still can't even get possession of that objective.
Yeah, just playing ping pong back and forth, this time with flying bullets and daggers, and Grizz Maroon is building up their support ultimates. Wolfry is going to have theirs first. The Eternal Bond does come in. Last time we saw this scenario, they unfortunately did get matched here. Brayu has their Eternal Bond, and now we see Shotgun Punisher coming out from Teeny Me. A big ultimate coming out from Akari to try to stop the offensive, but unfortunately it gets stuffed out. Very well played from Seabass to get into the bubble, and they're going to drop the horn onto multiple members. Teeny Me does get taken down. Nayunara does have Cosmic Revival available, but we do see Hakari trying to do what he can. Multiple bubbles and cooldowns are down. Karmic Revival gets popped maybe a little too early, but that's their only DPS. He has to get back into this fight. It doesn't matter. Final Judgment gets used. Does not get taken out by Percival. The Meteor Rev is not enough, and Teeny Me with the revival comes in at the last second. No portal, no problem. Kansas State University, get help.
A massive hold at that as well. 0 capture progress. Goose eggs right in front of their faces, and they need to hold for 2-2-2 against a Grizz Maroon who have been unleashed on offense every time we have seen them on domination, and now here in Convergence. This is the final hour. The bell is ringing due against Kansas State University at JV. They have to hold out with all of their might. I'd say at this point, because it's available, you need to have your own reses against this Grizz Maroon, and we haven't even seen them try to go for it. So I wonder if it's in their wheelhouse, available to them, and in their minds to go for the Adam Warlock, so they at least have that sustainability on the point itself. And that's the key to the game. You're on defense. Keep yourself sustained in these fights, not overextending. And well, we do not see the Adam Warlock come out. They're opting for what we saw at the start of it, this composition with the Mag Emma, the Hella Namor, and then the support line of Loki and Cloak and Dagger. I don't think it's going to be enough.
Such an allegiance between land and sea.
Yeah, interesting to see what Kansas State is going to burst out here. I mean, J-Specs has been, as we do see some shenanigans here, the spotlight with the cat emote. I love it when Rivals players have a little bit more fun here. But yeah, Kansas State University are going to have to rely on J-Specs here to just get these initial picks. He has been doing very good when the space has been allotted to him, but they've got to hold it for twice as long as Grizz Maroon did, and a little change here. 15 seconds will get burned off the initial just getting to the point and running through main, but Kansas State need to make sure that J-Specs is in the position on these long sight lines, headshotting multiple members here, so that Grizz Maroon have to reset constantly. That's their best way to try to get these kills. Soulbond does get used. Olive already takes down Seabass, and it's already a 6v5. Grizz Maroon can leisurely stroll into this point.
This is what we're expecting, the damage that's being unleashed by them. They have the Terror Cloak for that damage boost as well, and they do have the Mantis keeping them damage boosted up on their side so they can quickly deal with the other team. And diving into their backline, there's not really much that they can do here, Chevy.
Yeah, not really a fight. Grizz Maroon just came in, got a couple picks, and said, well, thank you for the point. I guess we'll have it, Kansas State. Not really much of a defense for the JV squad here, and they are going to be facing match point against Grizz Maroon as they are now down 2-0 to this amazing collegiate squad we have.
comp diff is all I got to say at the end of it. We did see Olive, do great work in the last map, great work this time, but it was a full team effort by Grizz Maroon for them to come out on top at the end of it. The Adam Res is the difference maker. Regardless of how individual players performed on the side of Grizz Maroon, the fact that they were able to get back into the fight so quickly and use their ultimates so effectively, the damage boost also, because they were able to put up so many damage numbers against their opponents, made it difficult for them to even stay alive in those team fights, especially towards the end, where we saw the holds continue forward. And even with the Adam Res coming out at the end and getting thwarted by the Goddess of Death, it was just a moot point because they wasted as much time as they needed to. They knew that they could hold things down, and not seeing a single swap to an Adam is just frightful for the side of Kansas State University JV. They need to ban out Adam in this next map or they're going to be going down 0-3.
Yeah, I just think, like you said, Grizz Maroon has the comp adaptability, right? They've got the hero flexing. It's really weird when I say that because when I did my initial research, like I said, some of them are a little bit exploitable, but Olive being able to bust out the Angela, right? Doesn't even play it that much, allowing Hikari to land those Meteor M's multiple times onto big key picks here. It's just tough for Kansas State. I think they kind of have to focus in and say, do we limit the support line? Do we limit the tank line? I like the fact that, they were able to kind of lean on that Hella, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get that again. J-Specs almost single-handedly won them that game there, if not dragged Kansas State to that overtime round.
That's a tough spot to be in, right? To see exactly how things went down towards the end there. But we'll talk more about it. We can delineate amongst ourselves as much as possible about what they're going to be banning and protecting in the next game. But before that, we'll be taking a quick break.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the semifinal match between UMT Esports and Kansas State University JV, or Grizz Maroon, as the other team is known as. They got two different names. We are in for our potential last map of the series. Grizz Maroon is up 2-0. But Vaudable, if there's ever anything that happens with us, there's almost always a Game 5 scenario. And Kansas State University, at least their main team, is not adverse to that, right? They know they've been in multiple Game 5 scenarios.
Two of them,
so
at least, yeah.
Yeah, they can channel it. They can channel it here. Maybe they can channel their varsity team here. We're not going to go to Spider Islands. Favorite map of mine. A lot of verticality, right? Really high buildings. All the points, I think, are can have a lot of skill expression on what you want to play and how you want to play. Very good Hella map. So if Kansas State University, J-Spec specifically, can get that Hella again, I don't know if he will, can potentially do some damage. But I don't know. I feel like Grizz Maroon, if they just want to take the hell out and ban it, I think that's the smart move.
You know, I think these players need some made in Wisconsin, something that goes great with gaming. It's from Wenzel's Farm. Legendary Wisconsin meat sticks since 1977. 14 mouth-watering flavors. Meet your heart out. Wenzel's Farm legendary Wisconsin meat sticks since 1977. But the magic goes away immediately. Not too surprised on this one. That has been a constant ban for them. The Invisible Woman ban made it more of a fair fight for Kansas State University, so they're going to go with that every time. And locking in the Luna Snow is a big change here, because we saw that banned both matches, or both maps, from Grizz Maroon, so that they only had to rely on a Loki in that last map, and wasn't as comfortable as they would have liked. I mean, we saw some good looks from Swolfry. They got the SVP, but now we do see a difference here on the other side for Grizz Maroon. They're going to be banning the Hella. They do not want to deal with it, and that is the way to do it, because we saw how effective J-Specs was on it.
Yeah, and I want Kansas State to ban this cloak. Like, I want them to force Grizz Maroon onto
ban
subpar
the
healing.
Atom, though. You gotta ban the Atom.
Can ban the Atom. They're gonna ban the Wolverine because of that Phoenix save. They're like, oh crap.
They have to.
They're
that's true.
They're gonna go Wolverine. They're gonna go Wolverine. Now that does put Grizz Maroon in a tricky situation. I will say, Teeny didn't look as effective on the Punisher as he was on the Wolverine. So there is that aspect. So we'll see if he kind of leans back onto that. The save here is very crucial. I want to know what Kansas State is opting in to save, and they're not going to save anything. That's a misplay, I think, in my mind. But maybe they don't want to give too much of their strats away.
Could be. It might have been like a miscommunication on that side of things too. So we'll see exactly what the countermeasures are going to be from Grizz Maroon. Again, that is the big thing. Saving something does save it for everyone. So not going for a save means that it's easier for you to ban other stuff too, and you get a more of a read from the side of Grizz Maroon. So they are going to be locking in that Punisher there. Mag ban could work on their side. I mean, we saw Olive very effective off of a mag. Hikari was really good on the Doctor Strange too. That worked out well for them. But it's a group ban. And, we haven't seen a group played yet, and I didn't think we would see one. But this is the map to play Groot on.
Sure, but I mean, if you save the Punisher, I feel like the group ban isn't as necessary. Groot still struggles against high DPS duelists like Phoenix, like Punisher. So maybe it's just like a preemptive ban here. I would have liked to see Grizz Maroon ban the Magneto simply because Olive doesn't need mag as much as I think Kansas State would need it to counter the Punisher. But I do like the Angela being removed, because if I'm Kansas State, I don't like playing against Angela.
Well, you know what is available here, Shivy? The Jeff is available. The Rocket Raccoon is available. The Penny Parker is available as well. So we could see some crazy combinations coming out from these teams depending on what they want to go for. And Grizz Maroon, well, they are going to be locking in at least the Rocket Raccoon. So is Kansas State, so that they have the Cosmic Iron Amplifier. I'm liking Seabass here, though, on the Star-Lord. We've seen them rise through the ranks recently with their own effectiveness and having their own basically get out of dodge free card that's available to them with their own team up. So a couple of different options available to them there. And what is being hovered here for a second on Grizz Maroon?
There's no way that's real, right? Especially if you're not going to put it up with the team up. Or maybe Maybe Fukoko's having a little bit of fun here. J-Specs, though, on the Phoenix is going to have to be a little bit more consistent on the accuracy because you need to land more shots to get those kills, even if it is headshots here. As well as Seabass, though, on the Star-Lord, who has been rising in popularity. Fukoko, though, has swapped over the Scarlet Witch, and on a hero that I actually think is pretty good. Got a damage buff recently, 5% added, and giving damage to a hero like Moon Knight specifically, who builds their ultimate so quickly, is very, very disgusting. And we should see this ult start building up very soon. If they can actually land the onks and stuff, though. You gotta work on the Moon Knight a little bit.
You don't necessarily need to hit the onks, though. If you want it to bounce off the opponents, then you actually get more damage from that, because the onks, every time it bounces off an opponent, it reduces the damage that goes amongst the rest of them. So that could be the strategy for it, trying to see exactly where they want to place it. But this is a good walk down from the side of Grizz Maroon. They haven't had to worry at all against Kansas State University JV. Needed to change their game plan to at least survive in these first team fights, but the consistency continues for Grizz Maroon after they got out of their solo queue mindset for Fukoko for a second.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting just watching them kind of, hit the front line here. And another, I hesitate to call these team fights Vaudable because Kansas State is kind of just walking into what is the meat grinder of Grizz Maroon. Like, it's a ton of upfront damage, right? Olive on arguably their best hero, Tinimi on the Punisher, you've got Fukoko on the Moon Knight. This is just so much front-loaded damage that Kansas State, if you're not on point with the support healing specifically, then you're going to get shredded down immediately, and we do have Hand of Khonshu available, but, I mean, this first point was amazing. Sonic Seduction is going to come in from Olive, potentially to at least, goat some members into this main checkpoint, and I want to see Fukoko start taking high ground here, or start taking some of these off angles, so they can get a big Hand of Khonshu right now. Nice onk coming in, gets the kill onto J-Specs, going to pick up 2 here, and just a ton of damage. Does get res, though, still a 6v5 situation for Grizz Maroon, as they are just walking Kansas State down, and they can't really do much about it.
They haven't stopped once so far. They are just doing damage, holding on to their ultimates, waiting for them to be baited out by Kansas State, because we have not seen a single one pop by Kansas State, even when they're trying to get back on the objective. Somebody needs to initiate for their side, but they are just getting ripped apart at the seams and can't do anything about it. They're just getting pushed full force. What's happening?
Does Kansas State have a W button? Does Grizz have an S?
Do they have a Q button? Like, do they know that they have their ultimates? Like,
yeah, they've got to start doing something soon here, because Grizz Maroon, after their ult cycle, have built up another Hand of Khonshu available still. Olive is back on the Psionic Seduction at 90%. This is practically a 6v6 fight. And here comes the Psionic Seduction once again. Nozen does get res, Brayu as well, but Fukoko picks up Seabass. Seabass, when are you going to pop the legendary? Kansas State, when are you going to pop an ultimate?
Nobody's popped an ultimate so far, other than we saw Sonic Seduction. Finally, we do see 2 come through from Grizz Maroon, but will it be enough? Because Kansas State University JV are finally using their ultimates, but they got to be efficient with them.
Yeah, Sonic Seduction coming in just to at least buy them some space. Grizz Maroon does have to respect it. We do see the Meteor End coming in from Percival. Tinimi does get seduced, but not for long, as Kansas State University are able to momentarily push Grizz Maroon back, but double Cosmic Yarn amplifiers are going to come in. Seabass, though, does have the ultimate. Legendary coming in with that damage boost is going to take down Neunara. Hikari does take down Seabass, though, and Brayu is just trying to do as much DPS as possible. Does have the End Song Inferno dropped on their head. Unfortunately, J-Specs not able to get anybody. It's completely useless. The ultimate whiffs, and unfortunately does go down, does get res. Percival, though, is going to pick up 1. Brayu does res Fukoko, and another set of kills are getting traded back. Tinimi picks up Percival, Seabass onto Hikari, and J-Specs is just trying to do as much as he can, but all the meantime, Vaudable, this card has never stopped, not once. It has kept on going, and another Sonic Seduction coming out from Olive. This should just be the game end, or at least a round end. What the hell just happened?
That is called a series ender, Shibby. There has not been an answer here on Spider Islands that Kansas State University JV have been able to figure out. They had a complete puzzle in front of them, and they lost all the pieces in front of their eyes as they kept losing ground time and time again through the beginning to the checkpoints and now to their demise at the end of the road. And well, they're staring at the edge of an 0-3 finish in this semifinal. Potential for a consolation third place prize matchup if they do fall here, but they have their work cut out for them and then some to make it the distance and at least have another OT scenario. But 3.5 minutes was the time granted to Grizz Maroon. No time is going to be given so easily to Kansas State.
3.5 minutes in the time bank. Kansas State starts with 4 minutes. Laudable. That's just how dominant Grizz Maroon took this point here. And baffling from Kansas State. Unfortunately, it was just constant staggering. Like, Grizz Maroon never really let up off the W key. So every time Kansas State was like, okay, we can push out this far. No, you get staggered. Okay, we can push out this far. That line of scrimmage just kept getting pushed further and further back. And unfortunately, Kansas State just could not full reset.
Well, the thing is, too, that they were so hesitant to as well, right? They had their ultimates available to them since the first objective, and they never used them until the end. You can't afford to wait that long to use your ultimates against a team like this.
Oh.
Finally, we do see some resistance, but Newson just getting popped immediately, and Makoko just going to work with these Onks and doing some great damage, building up their ultimate as quickly as possible. They don't even need the buffs from the Captain America Freedom Charge or the Gambit that isn't available to them. They can just build it up themselves.
Yeah, it's super quick here, just
almost there already.
Multiple members. Yeah, it's at 70%. Fun fact, Moon Knight has one of the lowest ultimate charge costs in the game, and he's a DPS, and he does, like we said, ricochet damage. The Hand of Conchus are insane. Teeny Me is going to pick up Newson, and that's going to stuff out Kansas State's offensive once again here. Despite what the headers say, Grizz Maroon is on the defensive side.
Yeah, that is the case. I mean, they are constantly attacking, and that's what we felt from the first objective on domination all the way up to this point, is that they are a lethal weapon 6 times. Now we do see the Hand of Conchu, and it does at least get one a pick, but the rest of them will be sent back from whence they came into the spawn. I mean, how does Kansas State University JV break out of this, Chevy?
You know, normally I would recommend 3 support, 3 tank, but the Moon Knight on the enemy team is going to really dampen those odds here. And Olive and Teeny Me are just pushing these guys back. Maybe they need a dive. Maybe they need some sort of way to pressure this Moon Knight, because right now, the best ways to beat Punisher is that he's very diveable, right? And we saw that happen a lot, you know, at that Atlanta final at the Ignite, where he wasn't as picked up as much as he was in the earlier stages.
Where's
but
Daredevil?
Grizz Maroon, look at this. Yeah, where's Daredevil, right? Rokoko, wow, nice freeze, actually. Does get frozen midair, but doesn't really matter. Eternal Bond from Swole Fry is going to give them some space. It's going to allow them to push back Grizz Maroon, and maybe this was the opening that they needed. Not sure if it's enough as the final judgment on top of the ultimate from Rock is going to come in. Damage boosted final judgment. Unfortunately, you cannot Meteor M through that, and this is going to be a clean team wipe from Grizz Maroon here.
Nothing they can do to escape their fate. It is the end game here for Grizz Maroon, and the heroes have lost on Kansas State University. They need something to bring them back, and maybe it's Jeff for Swole Fry. We haven't seen Jeff so far, and if they can build up their ultimate, get the It's Me, or the Jeff NATO, as you mentioned, or the It's Jeff. We'll see what they can do with it, though. It's just been so unfortunate on their side because the ultimates have not worked in their favor either. They're actually just going to be using the Omega Hurricane by itself. Swole Fry didn't even build up their ultimate in time.
Does get one, though. J-Specs is able to pick up Teeny Me, but does get res, so still at 6v6. So unfortunately, trading a res for an Omega Hurricane is just not worth here. Kansas State, though, are looking to push out. Seabass does pick up Hikari, so that's 1 tank down on Grizz Maroon, but it's taken them 60 seconds to push only 42 meters. Grizz Maroon, though, does pop the Hand of Conchu, does pick up Seabats. It's a 5v5 at the moment. And Rokoko, no Hand of Conchu, no problem. He's just going to be bouncing these bullets through the rest of Kansas State. Newson does have Eye of Agamotto and is looking to land it, but what a grab as the ultimate comes out from Rock in here. Bet on Hikari, TP'd back in. We do the fate of both worlds. Stopped by JV. Kansas State University are throwing everything and the kitchen sink just to get out of here, but a nice block on the Eye of Agamotto. Final judgment coming in from TDM, and this might be the final fight for Kansas State University as they are getting pushed back. They're only 84 meters. It's unfortunate because surely if they had their ultimates up, surely if they're able to find the comp that they could land on, that they'd be able to contest Grizz Maroon, but this point has been all Grizz Maroon.
Oh, and they can't even get there in time. Tried to use their ultimates to get onto the objective, but it was too little too late. The portal will be just a afterthought in that series. The back of their minds is that they could have gotten it out sooner if maybe one of their other heroes swapped to it. And I think timing just wasn't of the essence for Kansas State University JV. Instead, it was the Grizz Maroon show here on Spider Islands. This was their map, and Kansas State University JV are going to be regretting and playing that in the back of their minds after they fall down to our bronze place matchup for their division. But kudos to Grizz Maroon. They gave it their all, only a couple of deaths on their side, and we sent them back to the respawn room for a couple of seconds, and then they got back into the fight and never stopped from then on out. Having a support who had not gone down the entire time from going to point 3 and having 4 minutes cannot happen, and that's because of the full holds that we saw at the end and the positioning of the strategists, and also no strategy from the side of Kansas State University JV. They need to go back to the drawing board before they go to that third place match. But again, congrats to Grizz Maroon. They proved they were the better team by a long shot.
Yeah, Grizz Maroon showing up huge. 3-0, putting themselves in the grand finals match, awaiting their opponent. And if Grizz Maroon can get these same heroes, if Olive goes unabated on the Magneto, on the Emma, I mean, that's just a solid recipe for success. Not to be outdone, I mean, Teeny Me did a fantastic job, even off of the Wolverine, and unfortunately, we didn't get to see the Mr. Fantastic. Maybe we will next week, potentially, but Grizz Maroon showing a lot more hero flexibility than I had initially thought. Coming in with my prep, I was like, okay, they're a little bit exploitable. They don't play too many heroes. Some of their lower ranked members only play like 1 or 2 heroes in comp. But the fact that they're able to bust out stuff like the Atom, the Cloak and Dagger that we mentioned that they play. I mean, we even saw Jeff being banned away from them. So Grizz Maroon, Kansas State knowing something we don't. I mean, Grizz Maroon did work here, and I was very, very surprised at just how well they were able to navigate all the different maps and all the different scenarios, despite sometimes getting target banned.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when they're getting target banned like that too, because they don't know exactly what to do in those scenarios, especially for teams like Kansas State University JV. And I feel like the ban phase just didn't go in their favor so often. They didn't know what to target because of the flexibility of that Grizz Maroon roster. And that's where your greatest strength is as a team, having that flexibility, making it so that, oh, if they ban anything, we're fine. We got another comp that we can go for. So shout out to Grizz Maroon, though. They said thanks for streaming. Thank you guys for playing in the competition here. They're going ahead to face off against the winner of Crimson and ATU Green. Crimson is the #1 seed here in the West playoffs for Division 4. So best of luck for them if they face off against that squad or ATU Green, which is, I believe that's Arkansas Tech University, and Crimson is the team of University of Denver. So some great teams still competing in that division, but I definitely keep an eye on this Grizz Maroon team to rise to the ranks if they come out on top, maybe move to Div 3 in the future with their performance there. But either way, Shibby, we do have to take a break. We have another series ahead of us. It is UBC Thunder versus the University of Alaska Fairbanks Varsity. This is an Upper West Coast competition. We'll see how it goes down after this.
wish we stayed the same. I got way too many thoughts in my brain. I got memories that run through my veins. I'm not one to blame, but I could point out every way that you changed. Some things stay up while others go right down the drain. And lately we've been going down in flames. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in the nirvana. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in the nirvana. But if I'm my therapist is saying that I should. I don't believe it, but I really wish I could. Instead, I guess I'll stay misunderstood. Oh, 'cause I'm stuck now, just trying to figure a way out. I've tried but can't seem to slow down. I don't know if I want to. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm honest, I get in my feels when I want you. Say you feel it too, I'll haunt you. Hold on till I'm lost in nirvana. But if I'm can't seem to slow down, and I don't know if I want to.
seek to find is a world that's mine. Need a place to hide. Will you free my mind? Follow the light of a world that's blind. In your eyes I see there's a place for me. For me.
1974.
Way too many faces in the crowd, but I think that I see you. One too many days got me changing up the way that I need you. Now we're both at a bar, acting like it's not hard, trying to feel something different. Talk to somebody new, kinda wish it was you, kinda numb to the feeling. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but it's been too long. Couple months and I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to. I can't seem to. Not that you're gone. I can't seem to. I can't seem to. Laying on my floor, thinking about all the things that we've been through. From 24/7 to pretending like I never met you. No, it's all for the best, 'cause I know we're a mess every time we're together. Going out of my mind, and I wish I could lie, tell you that it gets better. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but it's been too long. Couple months where I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to. I can't seem
Nothing cuts quite like a memory, especially one that you're trying to forget. But I can't find the energy to rewind and reset. I know you don't wanna be used, but you use me to build up. You build up to break me down.
It's a tale as old as time. On the Western Conference, we have Alaska facing off against British Columbia, U.S. versus Canada in our final series of the day. This is the semifinals we have been waiting for, Shibby. This is Division 3 for Marvel Rivals Collegiate here at NECC, and it couldn't get any more intense because these two teams played before, but it went the distance every single time, even though it was a 3-0 sweep in favor of the UBC Thunder.
Yeah, I think if you look at the box score, right, you'll see it's a 3-0 for UBC Thunder as we do get the rosters here. Adderall, MSJZ, Jennison, Internet User, Don Quixote, and VTOM for UBC Thunder. And on the side of University of Alaska, Fairbanks Varsity, DPS Jeffy Poo, Xbox Live, Moji Shark, Vivi Silverhand, He Who Spades, and Chizuka are going to be rounding out their roster. Before we get into like the rivalry and stuff like that, again, Vaudable, one of my favorite parts of collegiate, rivals and collegiate esports is the names that we get. I mean, Jeffy Poo, someone just named themselves Xbox Live. Like, that's the funniest thing. I don't, and me and you are gonna have to be saying that
got
name.
KO'd by Xbox Live.
Yeah, like that's insane. Red Ring of Death. Who's gonna even know that? I don't know if anybody watching this knows what the Red Ring is, but yeah, I want to go back to what you mentioned because yes, UBC Thunder did get a 3-0, and yeah, the games, they weren't as stompy as you would think based off the box score, right? Xbox Live being the SVP in some of those matches on that Vanguard, but you had people like VTOM and Don Quixote abusing stuff like the Hella Namor. I say abusing, but it's kind of your fault if you let that stuff through.
Yeah.
They're really good on the meta stuff. I think the big thing, we kind of talked about it offline a little bit, Vaudable, is that, UBC's support line just doesn't really die that often.
No.
Like considerably. They're really good at knowing when to get out of fights. They're really good at understanding how to use their ultimates. Like even typically you'll see someone like Don Quixote, someone like Sparky have a ton of that's 8, 9, 10. You know how much Jenny and Internet User have? 3 or 4 deaths. Like that's contrast that with Moji Shark and Chezuka or Chezkua, who have like 9, 10 deaths respectively. That's a big difference, right? If your supports are consistently down, whether that's due to poke, whether that's due to bad team fights, bad spacing, bad positioning, whatever, it can be tough to actually win those fights, and you more likely than not have to reset more consistently.
I'm just really curious on this run back between these two teams because looking at the journey for these squads to come here, they both took out teams from the same Western Conference to get to this point. We saw NAU drop to UBC. They took a map, though. That is the first time, mind you, that UBC has dropped a map all semester. They were 21-0 in maps until the playoffs. So they got to be thinking they got a chip on their shoulder, but maybe it's a similar situation to VP, right, in Ignite, where they drop maps and then they learn from it. And we'll see if that'll be enough for them to make up for that one mistake that we've seen from them. But NAU probably just caught them off guard because they didn't have as much footage against them compared to the rest of their conference. On the other side, though, University of Alaska Fairbanks 3-0 swept the CSU Rams to make their way through. So high on the mountaintops is the Alaska Fairbanks team against the competition. So this is going to be a great rematch. Again, as you mentioned, how close that best of 5 was. That still was a 3-0 sweep for UBC. This is kind of the team that put up the most resistance, it felt like, against UBC. So winner of this makes it to those finals. That'll be happening on the 2nd of December for their specific division. Loser at least gets a third place match against either SWOSU Blue or GCU Purple. It's both great colleges there and universities to try and make it through. And speaking of GCU Purple, they took down the SFU Land Sharks, who was that second-seeded team in the same bracket of UBC and Alaska. So that's kind of huge that that team might be waiting the winner potentially on that side of things too. The SWOSU also got a 3-1 victory for there. So those are the stakes for this specific Western playoffs for Division 3, Shibby. But we're still waiting to hear from the players on exactly what they want to pick and ban. They're taking their time, powdering their noses and figuring out which heroes they like the most in this season.
Yeah, I do want to talk about GCU a little bit because they're like a pretty storied collegiate program when it comes to hero shooters, right? As we do get Krakoa being the map ban, and
it's back.
It's back to haunt my nightmares, my living, waking dreams, everything in between. Hydra Charteris base is here. I hate that map, Audible. You want to talk about it?
No, we don't.
Like this.
we see why. We see why. So
Yeah.
again, we'll see how this one goes. I didn't get a chance to see exactly how the domination, which map it was last time that these two played upon, but I assume it's something similar to this. Maybe it was Krakoa last time, and that's why we did see the ban come out from, I believe it was UBC on that side. Either way, though, this is just kind of a neutral playing field for both of these teams. Both teams know this like the back of their hand at this point, and even more so because they've played this since the game released, since it was, I think in beta, this map was even in there. So like people know this map up, right, left, and center. So they know exactly where they need to go pathwise, if they want to portal directly to the objective to lock it down, if they want to go around, depending on what the compositions are going to be. But I'm most interested in how those bans are going to go, Shibby, because one thing to note for the side of Alaska is that they really like Sharks. So many players on that team like to play Jeff, and if that gets banned out, it leaves them with a little less options.
Yeah, I'm interested to see as well on UBC Thunder's side. The crazy thing is 4 out of the 6 players on their main roster are dual roles, right? Two of them play every single, Don Quixote, VTOM, Adderall, and MSJZ all play Vanguard and Duelist, respectively. So can be a little interesting, like how much you can swap through and through. Like for VTOM, he plays Groot, he plays Thing. But for somebody like MSJZ, he's the Mag, he's the Strange, right? He's the Cap player. So depending on what gets banned out, that's who potentially is going to be playing Vanguard, whether it's going to be the Cap team or it's going to be the Groot team. You know what I mean? Jenny and Internet User are the only two that are like one role strategist players. Yeah. But they have pretty wide hero pools. You did mention University of Alaska. They've also got a couple dual role specialists, duelists and strategists specifically. 3 of their players, DPS Jeffy Poo, Vivi, and Chezukua are all duelist strategist players. I'm interested in how this dynamic works when you have multiple dual role specialists, especially in the same team that all play the same role. I wonder if any arguments happen. We're like, well, I play Vanguard too, and you didn't play that fight right, or I play Duelist, and you need to take this off angle. But also, I think there's an advantage because if you have your Vanguard player who's played Duelist, he understands what your Duelist needs, right? Having that extra role depth, having that knowledge can be key in getting your team the victory in terms of getting your certain teammates the right resources, the right space, whatever. As we do get into the pick and ban phase, and UBC Thunder are taking out Flying Wolverine out of the map, rightfully so, especially on this map specifically. And there's the Spider-Man Protect over the Venom ban. I would 100% ban UBC Spider-Man because Adderall, that guy has like 1,000 games on Spider-Man or something like that.
So that means we're going to be getting sticky throughout the competition here. So we'll see how it goes with Spider-Man prowling the streets to keep them safe on the Charter's base. But Bucky is going to be the menace as well because they're going to just be using their Kraken Impact as best as possible to shut down some of those ultimates from the side of UBC, and we'll see how effective they are. I mean, they're pretty decent with dealing with people flying around the map, especially if they're like a really good aimer, and typically Bucky players are, so I expect big things for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities for Adderall to pull people into the
abyss as
well. Yeah, and there's the Jeff ban coming in, rightfully so. I don't think you want to give University of Alaska their Jeff.
No.
Just because, like you said, there's so many people that can play it. There's so many specialists. I mean, they've got Jeffy Poo and Moji Shark. If you're not banning Jeff, you're egoing at that point. The save here is going to be interesting. I like the Groot save specifically because of how good he is in Season 5 at the moment. The invulnerability to, essentially you cannot get CC'd. It gives you, you're immobile. I really like that. I like the fact that you can't get Wolverined off the map. He's not even a real counter anymore. He kind of is, but you got to take the Iron Wall down. Punisher is really big here. I like Emma, because it provides you that stable front line, especially if you want to pair it up with the Psylocke. That team up is still very, very strong. And if I look at UBC Thunder, if Adderall is going to be playing Spider-Man, then I do expect either one of Don, Quixote, VTOM, or MS to play the Psylocke if you want to go that full dive composition.
That's true.
I like Rocket being banned away as well. No Animal Crossing backline for us.
Yeah, not going to have to worry about the Cosmic Heart Amplifier for the extra damage, too, because that's going to be such a nuisance, especially when you're playing against UBC Thunder. I'm wondering how much of... There's the Psylocke ban, so actually they're not even going to worry about it. They don't want to worry about the other team having Psylocke available to them, because the team-up's still available, mind you, with Emma and Psylocke, which is so deadly, especially with building up that ult charge. So we'll see exactly what they can do with it in terms of this composition between these teams, but I see Spider-Man trying to save the day for their squad on UBC for Adderall. But on the other end, I mean, expecting big things from the Groot if that does come out. But look at Don Quixote. They're going to be locking in with that Daredevil. I've been waiting to see one of these.
Yeah, and it looks like Mario Kart World is actually going to be in here. It looks like Moji Shark will be the individual sub that. Now, obviously, Mario Kart World is also a strategist player. Luna, Rocket, Invis, all that kind of stuff. So I don't mind that. But I do love the Daredevil, like you mentioned, coming in here. No Psylocke, no problem. This dive combination from Spider-Man is disgusting. There's the Captain America, and that's all dependent, again, on what's getting banned out, what's getting played. Because you've got 4 players that all play both of the same roles, you can get really shifty in how you craft your compositions, and UBC Thunder just have that flex opportunity. I think it's way more valuable to have a Vanguard duelist flex than it is to have like a strategist duelist flex in my mind. As we do see on the University of Alaska side, there's somebody that I like to see. Xbox Live piloting the thing here, anticipating what is going to be the dive. It looks like Adderall swapped out of the Spider-Man, is going to opt in for the Magic because you have that team up with VTOM. Looking how this first fight plays out, there's a lot of poke that can come out from University of Alaska Fairbanks that can soften up UBC, whereas UBC, a lot more burst heavy.
Yeah, we'll have to look into the future to see the vision here for VTOM and Adderall with the combination. But already Jenny-san getting knocked out of the competition for now on the first objective with this team fight. And everyone's dropping like flies on UBC Thunder. They can't even sustain themselves long enough to keep on this first engagement. VTOM's left alone with the Dark Magic, just trying to keep it delayed long enough for them not to capture the objective. And they go down themselves. Nobody survived or even got a pick onto University of Alaska. That's a huge first fight win.
Yeah, Vivi Silverhand went down late into that fight, but is going to come back completely fine here. And that's the poke that I mentioned, right? The cleave from Storm and Moon Knight. Like, he's already at 80% ultimate charge. UBC Thunder have opted in for Groot, which I don't actually agree with into this composition. This dive comp just can't work because you actually aren't allowed to even set up because you're getting pelted with onks, you're getting pelted with storm autos. It is tough to play into this, and he's already got Hand of Khonshu.
We'll see it come out at some point, too. They're waiting to see if they can actually combo it with either clobbering time or something else, but they're just using it to stay alive at this point, and it's not even worthwhile because we do see the Bucky also get an elimination onto them. Finally, the Storm at least gets something for it. They get Don Quixote out of the play, so good looks for them. Omega Hurricane popping on it through, waiting for the bait out of the invisible boundary. See one on both ends. Kraken Impact, though, does come on a line, and this is just a wipe again. UBC Thunder, though, they're actually bouncing back a little bit, got a couple picks of their own. MSJZ, great work on the play for the Magneto. That's a huge grab on the Emma. Even if they couldn't stay alive, they at least delayed it a little bit longer, so UBC Thunder finally win the team fight. Some good ultimate usage from their side ultimately won them it.
Yeah, VTOM specifically hits a nice strangling prison outside of the invisible boundary from Cheskua, and that's what locks up that team fight win for them. So UBC Thunder being really aware of where and when they can ultimate, I think, has been really crucial. And that first fight win, gonna need to extend this percentage a little bit longer because 60% has been taken for University of Alaska. UBC Thunder have to poke and prod here and hopefully look to wall off something like the Thing or the Emma so they can get those picks. Wall into grab is how they're gonna win these team fights.
I'm expecting the clobbering time to come out momentarily from Xbox Live if they can at least stay alive to get towards the objective and then eventually see that Hand of Khonshu reign supreme from the Moon Knight. But there's the Kraken Impact, a good combination there with the Strangling Prison. They got a couple of picks, but wasn't enough. Xbox Live shuts them down with a Red Ring of Death right hook. And there is the Omega Hurricane that comes on through. Great support ultimates to keep them alive in the fight and on the objective. They don't want to be sent back to the respawn room for now. Vivi must back up, and well, they got to respawn themselves, and that was a great hold from UBC Thunder.
And Don Quixote has swapped over to the Mr. Fantastic. Hand of Khonshu does come down, though.
Not really too much that they could have done with it, though. I think it was a bit of a wasted ultimate on that one. We did see Don Quixote with the Mr. Fantastic, keeping them involved, bouncing around the competition and sending them backing. This is great looks from UBC Thunder, and just a perfect reasoning as to why they were able to sweep Alaska before. But there's still some percentage available for University of Alaska to portal into the objective, and we'll see what they can do with it.
Yeah, the TP is going to come into here. No ultimates available for University of Alaska. UBC Thunder, you have the Between Both Worlds to work with, and the first kill comes in.
Well, that's a great kill there too, but we'll see if there's more that's following from it afterwards. Overtime has been enacted at least, and Alaska are holding it down using the portal for cover, but will it be enough? There is the crude ultimate. The Strangling Prison comes through at one point in time to at least get a double, but they want to stay on the objective as long as possible. Kraken Impact waiting for their time to strike, biting for the moment that the Viper is ready to be unleashed against them. Ayabagamoto comes out. They can't uppercut them fast enough, and even with the mag bubbles, they will get pushed back, at least for now. University of Alaska getting some crucial percentage. Invisible Boundary, though, is going to keep them in the fight. Armed and Dangerous, Kraken Impact got at least a couple. Daredevil looking to build up there, let the Devil out to have them focus on Daredevil as much as possible. But this positioning from University of Alaska has won them this for now. We'll see when the next engagement comes through.
Yeah, this Emma Strange is going to go in momentarily, and this Daredevil is just trying to do work right now. I don't know if it's the answer, though. Just trying to get back on the point as quick as possible. Don Quixote, though, does have the Mr. Fantastic ultimate ready to go. He's ready to bounce on it crazy style, as here comes the ultimates.
That's exactly what we want to see from them too, but no, the Daredevil gets a couple of pieces of the pie and is full with it because they get just vanquished afterwards. And well, University of Alaska, doesn't matter if they sacrifice Daredevil for now, because they are the ones owning Hell's Kitchen, especially with overtime going in their favor. It felt like UBC Thunder had it all in the bag, but University of Alaska Fairbanks varsity, say that 10 times fast, had their mouths full with all of the elims. Every time they took down UBC, they could not push on the objective. Mr. Fantastic is not a meta character. Don't play it in these scenarios.
And Don Quixote, this is his most played hero in Marvel Rivals. I get why he wants to swap to it. It's a comfort pick, but 2 final hits is just not enough, right? Mr. Fantastic, when you run this hero, you most of the time severely lack on the damage end front, and you can see that very clearly. Look at DPS Jeffy Poo. Look at Vivi Silverhand. 17,000, 11,000 respectively. They've got a good amount of elims as well between them, right? 5 and 2. Unfortunately, Adderall just cannot carry everything, right? Xbox Live did a very good job, whether it was on the Doctor Strange or it was on the Thing, to confirm those eliminations. But now we're going to see UBC Thunder, Adderall specifically, swap to his most played hero. Like I mentioned, more than 1,000 games on Spider-Man in totality of Marvel Rivals. I mean, this dude put on the mask and never really took it off.
They are the hero that UBC Thunder needed, but we'll see if they can get any of their grabs to get those initial picks on to University of Alaska Fairbanks, and that is what they're searching for, seeing if they can catch them off guard, send them off the map itself towards the side, but they're actually going into cover, which is exactly where you want to be when you're facing off against a Spider-Man. You don't want to give them a chance for that pull off the objective. They're seeing if they can get at least one of them away from the rest of their team for a pick. Ayabagamoto a bit wasted by Xbox Live on that play, countered out by Jenny's son there on the Fate of Both Worlds. So this is a good usage of that ultimate. They got the damage boost from it too, and we see multiple of them dropping as well, but a good KO back. A bounce back for Xbox Live, but he can only hold on against the brink of extinction while the rest of their team drops down, and well, they won't be able to hold the first objective for now. UBC Thunder bites back.
And UBC Thunder have kind of swapped just over to a brawl comp, right? You've got Invisible Woman, you've got Mr. Fantastic, obviously the team up is there, and Spider-Man, yeah, he's a dive hero, don't get me wrong, but his uppercut can land onto multiple members. He can poke and prod and look for these pulls potentially, look for one of these supports to be out of position, and then strike when the iron is hot. Look at him, he's just being annoying. He's forcing, University of Alaska to turn around and look at him, which gives them the extra space to push in on this brawl comp, essentially pincering University of Alaska a little bit more.
Yeah, waiting to see if they can use the get over here to at least get them away from their teammates and focus them. And that's exactly what we see happen here. The uppercut goes through, focusing on the Vanguard so they can't do anything about it. And they will have to push back to their own spawn room to recover and recuperate. Maybe they'll have to rest and relax as well for a second to get back on the objective. We see a couple swaps coming through this time.
Xbox Live swapping over, and what a pull! Does he get it off? No! The terrain, unfortunately, does not work, but a psionic seduction in the spawn, Vartable?
That was interesting from Vitom, but hey, they're trying to just dominate the competition. They showed how close they were to capping the objective before. They have their ultimates available to them. The spectacular spin is here. The Brainiac bounce is available, and you haven't heard those names in some time in competitive, so we got to say them at least a little bit. But the Let the Devil Out's also available for Vivi Silverhand, and they can't even get to the objective because of the push from UBC Thunder. That is the dominance we expected from them in map 1. They just kind of let it slip away from them too soon. So going to that third objective, Super Soldier Factory we go.
And with the way that map 1 went, Vaudable, you couldn't have gotten me to bet anything that map 2 would go 99-0 in the favor of UBC Thunder. I thought University of Alaska would be able to put up a bit of a fight, and we talked about Adderall swapping over to something a little bit more, you know, damage heavy, a little bit something to get more elims. His final hits only went up by 1. It's actually Jenny who, from the support role on this Luna Snow, that is confirming a lot of these kills. This brawl composition is just outlasting University of Alaska, and now the question is, what do they respond with? Because I don't think Daredevil's the answer into Mr. Fantastic, into Invisible Woman, into Emma Frost. You've got to play something a little bit more range, maybe something that can put a lot of pressure on them, maybe a double hit scan composition, as we do see DPS Jeffy Poo has swapped over to that Star-Lord, but he's got to build up ultimates. UBC Thunder have such a bevy of ultimates in their bank accounts right now. Spectacular spin, Brainiac bounce, like there's so much damage.
So much damage that they can enact at the flip of a dime, and we're expecting it to happen at any moment, but there's also the Let the Devil Out available for Vivi, so they're waiting for their prime moment to strike and trying to see if they can focus on either the Spider-Man on the back line. We do see they get sticky here as well, but Mario Kart World going down, the great choke slam onto Adderall, so they are a moot point on the banknotes of this point for UBC Thunder, but there's the Let the Devil Out, trying to get them to focus on the Daredevil, do some good damage and distraction for this team. Great Luna Snow ultimate that, again, Jenny Sun has been on point with those ultimates. A good backhand from Vivi to at least get some of them out of play for now, but Jenny Sun just can't be stopped.
Yeah, Jenny Sun's confirming those kills very well. Xbox Live, though, maybe coming in with a couple more kills, and Jeffy Poo on this Star-Lord cleaning up the fight. Janitorial duty, clean up on aisle 5. Jeffy Poo doing a very good job on this Star-Lord.
It's a tough right. Well. Yeah, I mean, has their ultimate available. It felt like UBC Thunder were doing so well in that team fight for the initial point, but then eventually we saw Adderall and Don Quixote just going down immediately, and then they had no damage that they could dish out. So they're just such odd heroes to position against the team, and that's what we're seeing happen here. So they do have the Galactic Legend available to them. Using the Invisible Boundary early from UBC Thunder might have been a better option to save that for later, and now we do have the Galactic Legend ready to come online at some point, and here it goes. Legendary comes through, but they won't survive long enough. Vitom just beams them down, and this is some just awkward plays from both teams.
I didn't like that at all. I mean, 3 members are down for University of Alaska, and Jeffy Poo decides to now burn the Galactic Legend. I mean, this is something that could be used to win this next fight if he just held on to it. I really do not approve of that ultimate usage, and it might end up biting them in the rear as Strangling Prison does come out.
That's what we like to see, a great Strangling Prison, but it does force both the Invisible Boundaries, and we also have a double support ultimate on the side of UBC Thunder. Maybe not the best timing for their side of things, but there is some good looks from Don Quixote as they just go crazy against the competition with the Brainiac bounce. When they are confined in that hallway, it bounces up and down that much faster, and you cannot escape the clutches of those elongated arms.
Yeah, the rotations per minute increases by a lot in those confined spaces. Like, it's kind of insane how fast he goes, and the Spider-Man ultimate is here, the spectacular spin. Surely this is going to pick up a couple kills here. Invisible Boundary does get used. No kills yet wait a minute.
Okay, there we go. Spider-Man finally getting the spectacular spin to get something, a triple for their name, focusing on the group, but they can only do so much. They're just trying to delay them from the objective as long as possible. Be a menace to the back line and takes out Shizuka there as quickly as they can, and they're still just being in front of them, playing in their faces and saying, hey, you got to take me out if you want to get to the objective.
That's the New York beatdown coming out from Spider-Man. I thought he was going to go for a map pull there. Very well played from Adderall. This is why they saved this hero, because just what he can do, how annoying he is on this Spider-Man. And University of Alaska does have the legendary combo. Hand of Conchu and Strangling Prison are available. They just got to get it down.
Exactly what they do. A couple of picks here from both of them. A triple on the side of DPS Jeffy Poo, and they have already won themselves the objective. Some great percentage was built up, though, by UBC Thunder. We got to see what they can do with it.
99% for UBC Thunder. They just got to win one team fight, stack the ultimates. Internet User and Jenny both have their support ultimates available and ready to go. They just have to make the mistake of not double support ulting. Meanwhile, Adderall just being an absolute mosquito for University of Alaska here. And that pull might just be the way UBC Thunder goes in.
Oh, that's exactly what we wanted to see from Adderall. Perfect positioning, taking out the Vanguard so they won't be able to bubble their team as the rest of the ultimates come through. More of them dropping it down again, focusing on the Groot so that they can't even get onto the objective to try and hold it in the last couple of seconds. They want to close things out before OT, but there's the portal from the Doctor Strange, who can barely survive themselves. And you see Adderall just taking their time, waiting for them to drop in. Spectacular spin goes through, and everyone getting KOs on the side of UBC Thunder. They vanquish their foes and move on for the first map win.
Poetry in motion. Just watching a Spider-Man players play Spider-Man in competitive is like watching Da Vinci paint in real time. I cannot explain to you how amazing it is to watch Adderall go to work, but rightfully so. Jenny's son is going to pick up the MVP, 30-4 on a Luna Snow. Have you ever seen a scoreline like that on a support? I don't think so. 9 final hits as well, contributing both to the damage side and the healing side. 45k healing and 11k damage. I mean, that's tough to do, especially when there's an Invisible Woman on your team who is the de facto #1 support. Very well played from UBC Thunder, and Adderall doubled his final hit count from round 2 to 3, by the way. 10 to 20. Just bonkers. And Don Quixote heard me talking. He's like, what do you mean I don't got damage? What do you mean I can't confirm hits? Let me just Brainiac bounce in a 2-foot hallway and watch the kills pile up. Very well played from UBC Thunder. That last map specifically, the big difference maker for me, Vaudable, was the ultimate usage and how conservative they were in understanding of when can we use these ultimates to win these next fights. Whereas, like I said, Jeffy Poo using that Galactic Legend when 3 of his members died, that was terrible. That was the reason why the point was flipped immediately. Imagine they had that for when they respawned to that next fight. There were no support ultimates available. It was an easy fight win for them.
A tough spot to be in, for sure, for Alaska, because the way that they looked so solid when they took over the odds in that first map, that first objective, seemed to be like, okay, they might be able to put up some fight. And then Spider-Man appeared on the scene and saved the day for New York yet again. So it's tough. If you do not ban Spider-Man, you're going to have a bad time, is what we've learned from this first objective play between these two teams. And they should have known that by seeing the hero pool from these players. And if you know there's a good Spider-Man on the other team, especially on domination, there's a lot you can't really do against them on Hydra base, because there's so many open spots on 2 out of the 3 different objectives that you can go to there. So that's kind of what we saw happen with those. But I think the big thing, even before we went to that final one, the Super Soldier Factory, when we were kind of in the other area, was that they were actually supporting their team to get the elims instead of going for the final hits themselves. A lot of times you see the Spider-Man go into the back line and just try to get single frags, but instead they were pulling them to their team, using the get over here, and then their team would focus down the Vanguard or focus down the Strategist, and using their team as kind of like a damage blast against them so that they could confirm those kills that way. And I really like that kind of play from the Spider-Man. And then, Don Quixote, as you mentioned, just bouncing around, having a good time. And because of how much health that they can get when they are in their second form and they're using their elastic strength, then they are just untouchable. They have so much health. They can get healed now because of the changes that have happened with Season 5 coming out too. So it's not just the bonus health that you get. You actually want to stay in that form a little bit. And then was just able to put up some sustained damage that was enough for them to confirm kills on with just using the Luna Snow. So I like the combination that we saw here. It's definitely unorthodox, and that's why a lot of teams probably struggled against them.
Yeah, I like I said, I was very worried on the damage centric part, but like you mentioned, they kind of just turned it into like a brawl death ball composition, right? The get over heres were kind of just used as like mobile Wolverine pulls, and then like you said, you're getting hit with a giant DPS blast. Imagine getting pulled and you just get hit with the final flash from like 5 members. It's done. It's over, and like you can't really counter that unless you're running like double shield. And the big play there from Adderall was that final fight where he just yoinked Magneto off the map immediately. Once you lose your mag, once you lose your shield, that brawl composition is just going to run through you. And you saw exactly how that happened. So very well played from Don Quixote. I mean, making fantastic work in a meta, in a game where, you know, he hasn't really been the best hero for multiple seasons. I'm just kind of surprised. He got some buffs like you mentioned, right? He now heals. He goes into that over health form or the mega form. He doesn't have bonus health, so you can get healed in it. You're at 750 or whatever. It's kind of crazy.
It also gives him health when he's like almost dead too. I think it's like 350 or something like
heals
that. That
him
he just
350.
gains. Yeah, which is wild. So if you're about to die, do that, and then you get that extra health, and you can be healed over top of that for like 600 or something health. So
and you have
it's a lot of
up.
HP. Yeah, and Invis team up.
Yeah, kind of unkillable. Maybe we'll see the rise of Mr. Fantastic as we go through this series. UBC, though, doing a good job. Looked a little shaky in map 1. You know, kind of fumbled the bag on that overtime. I think they kind of got a little bit overzealous, but they cleaned up their ultimate usage. I think the really big thing from UBC Thunder as well is recognizing when ultimates are misused or misplaced.
Yep.
University of Alaska, granted, they were matching support ult for support ult, but a lot of the time, Chesgua or Mario Kart, they weren't positioning their Invisible Woman ultimates or their boundaries as well as I'd like to see. Because a lot of the time what we saw is that UBC Thunder, specifically VTOM, would be able to get a Strangling Prison outside of the invisible boundary, and then they would just be an instant kill, right? You'd be able to follow up with something like a Moon Knight ultimate or a Kraken Impact, something like that. So UBC Thunder, on top of being very good on their ultimate usage, it just feels like they're paying attention and they're just kind of locked in right now.
Yeah, I like the change over to the Emma at the end there too, just to use Psionic Seduction so they can't even push towards the objective, right? So that way they're just contained in their little box and they can't escape from it. Unfortunately, they'll have to wait for the next map to see how things go there. Again, this is Convergence. It went decently well for UBC last time. I believe it was 3-2 on that side. So we'll see what they decide on which map it's going to be, which side either team will be on here as well. But it's tough to like ban against this composition because of the unorthodox nature of it, right? Because you have the Mr. Fantastic, because you have the Spider-Man, and to know what to play against those when you aren't as used to playing against them at the high levels of ranked, because you usually see one tricks and you're like, oh, I could just ban that one tricks hero and they don't play it. So
yeah. Well, Vaudable, you know what else is tough? The amount of blue light that's going into your eyes when you're playing in tournament matches, video games, or when you're just browsing the web, or if the blue light's right behind you. So, luckily, we've got premium blue light glasses by BYE by Blue Light. I mean, I have a pair back there. I know you guys don't see it. I've shown it before. Their premium blue light glasses keep you sharp, focused, and ready for victory without the eye strain, and that's the important part. So level up your game and protect your vision. I would check out Buy Blue Light today, the official eye care partner of the NECC. That's BYEBluelight.com. I'm going to say it again, BYEBluelight.com. Get your pair today, tomorrow, whenever, because I promise you, if you do a lot of near work like me or Vaudable, you're on the computer a lot, it helps, man. Eye strain is real. My partner is an eye doctor, and she tells me all the time, like, just take care of them. You only get one set. You don't get to replace them.
That's true. And, well, we only get one series here as well for these teams. So you can't really replace the results that you've had. And we saw some results from the side of UBC versus Alaska Fairbanks, and the Alaska team last time it didn't go to OT for them. They got stopped before. It was a 3-2 finish for that. So we'll have to see exactly what their strategy is going to be. They're taking a lot of time to delineate amongst themselves and figure out, okay, this is the map that we should go for. These are the bands we should go for. But they can't have that much time, right? Because you can only be allowed so much between these maps. We're not giving you a full 10 minutes. We're only taking breaks between map 2 and map 3, and then map 4 and 5 if we get to that point. But based on what we saw that time, Shibby, I don't know if we'll get to a map 4.
Yeah, I think UBC did a very good job in handling the most volatile map, right? I mean, consistently vaultable domination is the map where the on-paper teams, the worst ones, quote-unquote, can sneak a series win or sneak a map win, but UBC handled it very well. Convoy and Convergence tend to be the maps where the better team on paper or the better team that we see do tend to win out pretty consistently. Now, look, not to say that certain teams can't be Convergence-focused or Convoy-focused. Like, surely there is that, and domination is a lot more momentum-based, but UBC Thunder is going to have the pleasure of defending first, right? Because the map pick that's going to come out from University of Alaska, which is obviously a lot more advantageous. Defending first is nice because then you can know how much you have to push it forward if they don't get it across the map. As well as the map selection is what I'm interested in, because they're, like you said, they're delineating a lot here.
They played Central Park last time.
Yeah, Central Park might be the call here, but with the Season 5 changes, does it now warrant a Groot and Penny ban? Because look, we've talked about it before. The Season 5 changes swapped and created a lot of interesting vanguards, but we're actually going to go to Symbiotic Surface.
I like it.
There we go. A map where there are plenty of full holds and another pretty good Penny map. Like, I'm not going to say it's not her best. It's definitely Central Park. And then I would put like Symbiotic Surface up there for sure as one of her better maps here. There is opportunity for some Penny Rocket shenanigans here, especially with the buffs that she got, where she now gives her teammates healing, move speed, over health, like, and then you combine that with the Rocket armor packs. Supports can have 75 extra bonus health. Dive players everywhere just shrieked out in terror when I said that.
I mean, I'm surprised we haven't seen any teams starting with that in spawn room, right? If it's available to them, because we saw that happen a lot in Ignite, and you want to, like, when I talked to Knuten, who used to be on the Zero Tenacity roster, they were saying, like, yeah, the reason why they would do that is so that if they have the extra, like, 25 to whatever bonus health, that could be the difference between them living and dying in a team fight. And that's what you kind of need to know if you can keep yourselves alive as long as possible. I mean, that's why those Jeff bubbles are so good, right? If you can place them around as you're going to an objective or a capture point, so your teammates can maneuver around them and grab them up as best as possible to keep themselves sustained. And sustaining your teammates is the name of the game for the strategy side of things, but also banning Venom so you don't have to worry about Venom, and Spider-Man is a big thing. But I would just ban Spider-Man at that point. I don't know.
Maybe they've got a counter they're cooking up here. I don't expect UBC to really change it. Like, yeah, maybe the Namor, maybe they'll protect it here over the Hela, which I think would be a lot better. Thing kind of worked, but once UBC swapped over to the Groot, you can't really play the Thing. They're going to protect the Jeff, which is actually a viable dive counter, right? Because the extra healing that you get off the bubbles and the stream, right? You know, we talked to Moxie not too long ago, and she said, Jeff can heal you from a whole map away. He could be playing on a different map and still be able to heal your team. That's how insane his range is. And they're actually going to ban the Hela away from UBC Thunder, despite, I think, the ones needing the extra threat, the extra anti-dive threat on their side. I like this from UBC Thunder, though. They are going to take away the Jeff NATO opportunity. And the Groot save is really nice. This is Groot's best map. One of the best maps, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I agree as well. And I think this is going to be very difficult for you to fight off against an entrenched group, right? Because so many people struggle against good group players. And we saw some great group play from UBC Thunder when they were performing with them before they swapped to the Emma towards the end of it. So I like the group pick, especially because they now have that movable when they do have their Ironwood wall available to them. The Psylocke available on the other end is interesting. I would not be surprised if we see an Emma ban coming out from UBC Thunder, though, because the Psylocke was saved. And I don't think they were necessarily going... Well, I think we did see a Psylocke ban, actually, now that I mentioned that. Yeah, we did
UBC
see that.
Thunder
So they want to make sure they
Psylocke.
at least have some more damage available to them. No more Rocket Raccoon. Again, that's similar to what we saw last time. So similar story for the most part, but securing their most favorited heroes, which, yeah, there's the Emma ban.
Yeah, I think
You'll
if
need
they
a top
saved the
notch
Emma,
team to
they
win
would have
this
banned the
one.
Psylocke. You save the Psylocke, you ban the Emma. I think on this map, I value the Psylocke a lot more. There's a lot of different
100%.
crevices and nooks and crannies you can get into and get out of when you're diving. I low-key think there's a lot of untapped potential with the Phoenix and Widow support, we'll call it, right? Because of the healing shots.
If we
I
ever
think
saw
there's
that,
something
I
there.
would laugh.
There's something there. There's something there. I know there is. We just have to wait for a team to actually get it going.
One day.
I love that UBC Thunder is just kind of opening up with what is likely going to be VTOM on the Groot, and then Don Quixote is going to play that Moon Knight. Adderall is going to be playing the, I'm going to say, the poke and prod Spider-Man, right? Not the dive Spider-Man, the poke and prod and be annoying Spider-Man. There's a couple different ways you can play him. A lot of the ones like to go for the flashy stuff, as well as Adderall does have an opportunity to pull people off the map here as long as he can get the animation cancels off. But Don Quixote,
Long road from Hell's Kitchen.
circumventing all my expectations,
I like
is
this.
just going to opt in for the Daredevil. But last time they opened up with this, University of Alaska was able to easily counter it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good counter, and they swapped to Mr. Fantastic, but I feel like Mr. Fantastic just isn't as effective here on Convergence, especially because of how open-ended this first lane is to the objective. So we'll see if they're going to be going for a portal. No, they're just going to be walking it straight down Main Street, trying to see if they can at least spot out the Spider-Man. I like the way that the Jeff is focusing them down, too, because they have, like, unlimited range with their spit.
Yep.
They can target them so much more easily and make it that much faster for either the Phoenix or someone else to take them down. So Adderall can only do so much on this first engagement. It's going to come down to the rest of their team.
Yeah. I'm going to see Adderall looking to be a little bit annoying. I don't think he's going to be pulling anyone to his team. He's going to be looking for that Jeff specifically. Because once the Jeff can line up properly, as we do see Crack the Whip, and there we go!
Oh man, the Jeff taken out. They're looking for the Invisible Woman afterwards, barely staying alive though. They got the uppercut, trying to get the snipe onto them for the double headshot. There it goes with the web slinger. That's what they needed for UBC Thunder to shut down that first push by University of Alaska.
Don Quixote went back to spawn and said, yeah, I'm not playing Daredevil. I'm just going to go back to Mr. Fantastic. Rightfully so. Oh, a nice pull. Does he get it off?
No, I didn't get it.
Doesn't. But that lack of tank being there on that front line actually allowed MSJZ to pick up a kill onto University of Alaska Fairbanks. And because UBC's on the defensive side first, they've already burned 1.5 minutes from University of Alaska. And Adderall, like I said, man, this is just watching Da Vinci Paint in real time.
Yeah, some great heals also from the back line too, just to keep them involved until they're ready to dive in, and that's the big look here. We do see the invisible boundary, the uppercut comes through. There's some potential for the Moon Knight ultimate here by DPS Jeffy Poo, who's not on the Jeff, mind you. They're actually focusing more on the damage, trying to see if they can get the Strangling Prison and the Hand of Khonshu combo. They do have it available, but Xbox Live going down to Don Quixote is not going to make it even easier for them to get at least a team fight win, because every time they go for a challenge so far, it's not been working. I do like this as a way to counter out Adderall. Make sure you put down the Unk so they can't go against you, and using those bounces freely with the Crescents. So that's a great way to do it.
Funny. That guy looks straight down
here it
the
goes.
air. And like you said, Hand of Khonshu coming in and getting responded with multiple support ultimates. I don't actually think a kill is going to come out from either of this. University of Alaska does have the ability to reset a little bit better here. They got 3 ultimates in their bank. And now we're going to see the real fight begin, Vaudeville.
And we did see the Phoenix ult drop down to at least get rid of the competition. For now, Invisible Boundary in favor of University of Alaska this time. Meteor M, that was massive on the DPS Jeffy Poo, but another Strangling Prison can't contain the Cloak and Dagger Eternal Bond as it goes to the objective instead. Jenny's Sun dances on the graves of their opponents and tries to damage boost them, because that is what is lacking for UBC Thunder, is that damage and fragility. Eye of Agamotto can't even do enough either, because there is a Spider-Man swinging through and dealing damage against the support line. Nobody is going to escape their notice of the amazing Spider-Man, and he finally is fallen, but it will be UBC Thunder winning the fight yet again.
Adderall with arguably the two most impactful kills of that fight. When it looked lost for UBC Thunder, he comes in clutch, finds Invisible Woman, and the ability to just immediately find the Cloak and Dagger and redirect and just get in and get that combo going. I mean, hey, Spider-Man got buffed. He does a little bit more damage. You got to be aware of where he's at all times here. I did like that Jeff answer that you mentioned, but they swapped that over, and Xbox Live is now playing Hulk, and I just don't know if that's the move into Spider-Man, Mr. Fantastic, and Groot. Hand of Khonshu is going to come down, though.
Oh, that's a beautiful hand of Khonshu from DPS Jeffy Poo. Got the triple for themselves, getting rid of a lot of the kind of barriers that they had going to the objective, especially with Vitom on the Groot. Not having to deal with this Groot walls is great. Adderall still just trying to delay them before they can capture the objective fully. And that's exactly what they need to do, right? They need to get in, get out, delay the capture for at least a couple of seconds. I don't think they got a touch, though, unfortunately, on it. So they just were more of a nuisance than anything else, but a reset for UBC Thunder and a big delay for Jenny Sun to get back with their team. This is actually a good look to run it down for University of Alaska Fairbanks.
I just want to see Don Quixote swap to something that does more damage. And, you know, maybe I'm cursing him, and he's like, all right, Chibi, I'll raise you. I'm going to go Brainiac Bounce and end this match really quickly. But it does feel like if Adderall doesn't get those opening picks, if he doesn't get that opening kill, it's a little tough for UBC Thunder to actually put the damage onto University of Alaska, who's now swapped to a much more brawl-style composition. Answers with multiple ultimates. 2 kills come in, though, for UBC Thunder. That should just be the fight end.
Should be, but we do see the Worldbreaker Hulk available for Xbox Live and the Hand of Khonshu as well. Adderall's just getting free reign on the back line, and nobody's giving him any trouble with it either. He's just gonna be able to easily convert that elimination, and nobody will back up their supports. And that is the reason why University of Alaska Fairbanks have been struggling so much. Yeah, you can have some solid vanguards on the front and maybe a couple of extra bubbles, the exile as you're trying to do on the Spider-Man, but only do so much. Finally, they do vanquish the Red Menace in Spider-Man as they take them down and probably report to the Daily Bugle of their good work afterwards. But even then, Hand of Khonshu comes through. There is the Eternal Bond from Moji Shark, and mind you, they did sub in for Nintendo Mario Kart World, and I'm liking this look so far from Alaska if they can keep this going.
University of Alaska getting a lot of good distance here. Don Quixote just, I don't know, has the ability to hold this, although he just did brawl out the Daredevil. It's still pushing, though. We're going to see Hand of Khonshu come in, though.
A good Hand of Khonshu. Doesn't really get any picks of it, but does get them away from the objective for now, so they can try and push back towards it. But as I mentioned, that Don Quixote is just keeping themselves alive throughout all of it. They are just going to be a thorn in the side of any advancement from University of Alaska, and be the day ruiner, the huge stagger here onto He Spades, and try to see if they can at least get a pick for it. But now they have a whole 8 seconds and counting to get back to the objective. They can't portal as well with no time remaining. There's Adderall coming through again with a pick onto DPS Jeffy Poo, and they need to see if they can res at least at the last moment. Portal does come through. There's the invisible boundary for both of them, but no, it gets countered out by Adderall instead. And this is a massive blunder from University of Alaska as they needed that to go through. Barely on the objective. Worldbreaker Hulk, the last remaining bastion of defense on the point, and they can't stay alive as long as they would want. Finally, the Brainiac Bounce available for Don Quixote, but they don't need to worry. They have all the elasticity available to them. The damage coming through. Eye of Agamotto from He Who Spades, but still trying to hold things down as best as possible. Brainiac Bounce with a triple can clean up the rest of the competition, and UBC Thunder shuts it down before point 2.
I knew Adderall was going to cancel that straight. I was like, wait a minute, look at him. He's going for something cheeky. Just the game sense, the awareness coming out from UBC Thunder, specifically Adderall on this Spider-Man. Beautifully well played. Don Quixote as well on this fantastic. I said he didn't have the damage. He proved me wrong once again.
Yep.
9 final hits, matching Adderall every time. And I think a lot of that is due to Jenny Sun being a really good enabler, right? Swapping over to that damage boost when Don Quixote uses that Brainiac Bounce just amplifies the damage so much more here. This 1-2 combo, this unorthodox duo that you said, Vaudable, Spider-Man and Mr. Fantastic, if that was locked in my ranked games, someone would be throwing immediately.
100%, but nothing's being thrown except haymakers from both of them. Uppercuts and then the elongated arms just slapping the rest of the team around. Yeah, all hands being thrown a piece against the other team of University of Alaska. But he who spades, finally we do see the new Penny Parker adjustments in play. They don't have the Rocket Raccoon available because it was banned out for them too, so they can't have that extra spawner themselves. But this is a good position. We've seen it happen so often, using those mines if anyone tries to push past this objective, and this is one good way to lock things down. But I also like DPS Jeffy Poo on the Wolverine.
Yeah, I kind of wish we see it paired up with that Phoenix. Doesn't need it necessarily. Did get some nice little buffs. But again, it's not a true counter into the Groot as long as the Groot has that Ironwood wall down, who's also pretty good into the Penny as long as you can raise those nests. So we'll see. As I say that, though, Bubble comes in, but that Kidnap already is going to signal potentially a kill here.
Maybe, but I think they were able to escape with it just enough so they don't have to worry too much. Great heals that were coming out from the UBC Thunder backline. Adderall goes into the fray, but a little bit less effective on the attacking end with the wide open angles. They have to worry about moving around and maneuvering behind them. They're going to take out at least the rest of them on the back end, but Vitom was the one who was the MVP of that team fight. Used their Groot walls perfectly and just picked them apart at the seams.
I mean, surely University of Alaska swapped to Punisher here. Like, I get the Winter Soldier. It's a classical counter. But again, the fact that Groot gets that immovable, right? He cannot be CC'd. You're not really going to be able to pull him here. And the fact that you're running a shield comp or a shield hero into what is effectively double melee DPS is tough. You're not getting a ton of value here. Strangling Prison does come down, though.
It's a good look too, trying to at least get some good damage against them using their embiggened form. And we do have the last stand coming through from the Wolverine to at least get them off the objective. And final duel between Spider-Man and Invisible Woman. Even with the buffs coming through, it's not enough to sustain themselves. Finally, they realize that they have the self-shield that just got added in their most recent update. Keeps them in the fight for now, and Adderall did have to back off of that one, but they are going to go after the Cloak and Dagger, forcing them to swap over to try and stay alive. Terror Cloak is a good counter, so they can't see where they are going, but look at the combo. Brainiac Bounce and Spectacular Spin available to UBC Thunder. They're just waiting to see if they can get anything from it, and that's exactly when Adderall strikes, takes out Jessica. Aya Bagamoto is going to be countered a little bit here by Don Quixote. Cracking impact, though, from Vivi might be enough if they actually got it onto somebody that they could take out. Don Quixote is just throwing hands against the competition. They don't have anything to put up against it. They need somebody to ring the bell, and they're still keeping in the fight.
Big Meteor M coming in from MSJZ. Doesn't land on anyone, unfortunately. His Brainiac Bounce could do some damage, but University of Alaska doing a good job trying to withstand the ultimate barrage from UBC Thunder.
Not much time here to get to that final objective. They need to hold down as best as they can because look how much is available to UBC Thunder. There comes the clobbering time as well from Xbox Live to at least send them backing for now. But look out for Adderall as they will take out the backline again. Finally, they are vanquished on the defensive end, so they will have to reset to their own spawn room. That's a good look from Xbox Live on the thing. They knew they at least needed some sort of Vanguard that could go toe-to-toe with this brawl-heavy composition of UBC Thunder.
Look what UBC Thunder put in their back pocket. Vitom said, oh, you want to go hand for hand? You want to go fist for fist? You want to get into a heavyweight boxing match with moi? UBC Thunder have gotten 3 melee heroes ready to go, and Vitom has already taken out 1.
Oh, there's 2 players down on University of Alaska Fairbanks, and there goes another. Their entire force that was remaining on the objective can't even stay on the point long enough to prevent disaster. This could be the final death throws here. Portal potential to come through, but they don't have enough maneuverability. They finally had somebody get there at the last second. It was DPS Jeffy Poo, but it didn't delay it enough. They immediately got vanquished and went down.
Portal was almost there too. They learned last time that the portal got canceled, but it wasn't enough. The shield couldn't do it. Very well played from UBC Thunder there, and Jenny-san picking up another MVP, 22-1. We talked about this, we highlighted it earlier, how little these UBC supports are pressured. 2 deaths between them. That is insane.
You can't allow that to happen.
Absolutely, that's absolutely diabolical there. Very well played from this UBC Thunder support line. Unfortunately, Moji and Cheskua could not get the monkey or the spider off of their back that Adderall was, because he was on them like white on rice, man.
That's just such a tough spot to be put in as a strategist, right? When you're getting dove every time, your tanks aren't really able to do as much because they're more focused on pushing the objective as best they can, or holding things down on the point if they are on the defensive side. And we saw that happen so often. I mean, even swapping into that triple tank towards the end as they were trying to portal through, it just did not prove to be enough. So every time that Adderall went in for a fight, they were distracting damage that could have been done against the back line or focused on someone else that was a bit squishier from the side of UBC. And because they had more of a tanky duelist, because we saw that flex style from Don Quixote and the rest of the team there for the Vanguard duelist with Mr. Fantastic, I mean, every time they tried to use a Doctor Strange ult, it didn't matter because they had their elongated form. Either way we saw any other ultimates used against them, you would see Mr. Fantastic just stay alive long enough, then get that 350 health heal themselves. They basically have a self-heal at this point, and they were just able to stay involved in the fight for so long. Yes, they went down 5 times, but that doesn't really matter when they're still able to be so effective and get triples and quads with their damage boosted Brainiac bounces. So this is a comp that's so hard to play against if you don't have the right strategy against it. And I think because of the Angela bans, that makes it so difficult for them to do anything against it.
Yeah, I think they had the right idea with the Wolverine. I think you just need to pair it up with the Phoenix so you can get that burst damage going, right? Because the moment somebody gets kidnapped, then you can kind of follow it up with the stun into the burst, into like, oh, they're dead now, right? Not that Wolverine needs the Phoenix team up, but the combination of those two heroes allows you to actually shred through the tank lane. I would have loved to see potentially a Punisher as well. You need high DPS into brawl compositions. That's the way you beat them. If they're going to run triple melee or double melee, if they're going to be insistent on running these beefy frontliners that kind of meatball against you, just find the meatball eliminator, find the Punisher, find the Moon Knight, right? Slice them in half, do what you need to do, turn them into spaghetti for all I care. But like, you cannot go haymaker for haymaker here, as we are actually going to be going into a break. So maybe you guys can find some meatballs to eat and scarf up while we go on this very short break before we potentially get into the final map between UBC Esports and University of Alaska. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back very soon.
Welcome back, everyone. We have UBC Thunder up by 2. It's deja vu for them, but actually a cleaner finish so far. It didn't go all the way to 3. 2-1 is all that they needed here for convergence on Symbiotic Surface. And seeing Yggdrasil Path, it's our map here, Shivy, yay! But also, it's going to be so annoying playing against Spider-Man again if they don't ban it out. I mean, why? I get not wanting to play against the Venom. It's not fun for the back line. But a Spider-Man specifically that is doing what they are doing, you got to get rid of it. I don't know.
Have they learned their lesson is the real
That's the question. Yeah.
Has Spider-Man beaten them senseless enough, right? Maybe the CTE, the concussions have done too much damage. And they're like, you know what? We can take Spider-Man. Maybe they're like all of Spider-Man's rogues gallery where they're like, surely the 50th time we rob a bank, we can take him, guys, with all our different contraptions. Yeah, I think Adderall is insane. I think Don Quixote as well. Look, I saw the guy in the chat. He said, every time we're doubting Don Quixote, you're right. You know what? I'm sad.
That's
My
true.
bad.
That's true.
Every time I say, like, I feel like Don Quixote doesn't have the damage. They're not able to confirm the kills. Brainiac bounce. And I'm just like, all right, bro. My bad. So this is, you know what? I will stop doubting you, Don Quixote. Your Mr. Fantastic is elite. Pick it whenever you want. Because honestly, it's working. Like, the thing is, UBC Thunder, if the same bans come through and the same picks come through, they don't have to change a damn thing because University of Alaska seemingly have not figured out what to play against it. They have bounced between multiple different heroes. I thought the Winter Soldier was potentially the answer. The Wolverine maybe was a piece of the puzzle, but they're not combining everything. I think the biggest issue, and there we go, there's the Spider-Man. But shortly now, does the Venom save come in from UBC Thunder as the Winter Soldier is going to be locked for their save? I think dealing with the Venom is a little bit easier when you have the defensive options available at University of Alaska. Winter Soldier, obviously, if you want to play the Wolverine and the Phoenix, you can do that as well. But yeah, like this is one map too long, in my opinion.
We'll see what happens, and yes, they do save the Venom cell. They are still going to be a menace in the back line with the dive. That is their mentality, their go-to, but they can't yank people away as much with the Venom. It's more that you just need to focus the Venom and their health bars as much as possible. The Jeff ban come through. They don't want to have to worry about that, especially on Yggdrasil Path. There's a couple of good spots that you can send them packing off the map as well. Good ban onto the Groot this time as well. We saw the Groot saved by UBC Thunder before and worked out really well. Emma saved so they can hopefully use that choke slams to try and deal with the Venom a little bit more that way, and so they can like combo them and have their team focus on them. We'll see what they can do with the rest of it though.
Yeah, the interesting thing here as well for UBC Thunder is, like, sure, you've banned away Adderall's Spider-Man, but he plays Bucky, he plays Hela, he plays Mag, he plays Psy. Like, this guy can swap over to anything. I wouldn't be surprised if Adderall ends up playing tank here, and one of the other 3 Vanguard Duelist Flex players on this team is like, you know what? You can't be Spider-Man. Like, let me just play my Hela. Let me just play, you know, BP or something like that, or Namor, right? Like, there's a lot of flexibility with this UBC Thunder squad. The Daredevil does get saved here. Don Quixote might take that for a spin the third time around and then walk to spawn and swap over to Fantastic again. We'll see. But Vivi Silverhand is going to lock in that Storm. I wish we could have seen University of Alaska go from the Spider-Man ban into the save on the Jeff, because that would have then forced, I think, UBC Thunder to ban away the Storm. And I think Jeff individually has a lot more value than a Storm most of the time.
100%.
Because those eats, right? The bubbles, the infinite healing spray, way more valuable than getting a potential Storm ultimate that will most likely get countered by an invisible boundary or a Luna Snow ultimate. As I see something here.
It's an Iron Fist, and that is, as we were kind of talking about before the show today, really good at just running down tanks with the amount of damage that they're able to put up. They have their own deflection that they can use too, take some damage away and sustain while they're in the mix with the other team. And it's another brawler as we see them come out, and very effective too on this first objective, because you have the different vertical ways of escape if you need to, and you can go into those hallways as you see on the left side there too. So I'm curious on exactly how we'll see them come out with UBC Thunder on the attack side.
2, 1.
UBC Thunder are running Captain America here, and VTOM. This is essentially a quadruple melee composition from UBC Thunder. So the Storm should have relative success here. I do also like the brawl aspect of the Thor, but he's not going to be able to 1v4 here, so it'll be interesting to see. There's just a lot of front-loaded damage from University of Alaska's side. I think they're going to have to swap to a shield tank here. I don't know if they can just run the all-hands composition. This is very New York-esque, right? Bronx, Brooklyn. Like, I'm going to just throw hands at you and see how many punches you can take.
Yeah, and it's working out well enough for He Who Spades. I mean, they've gotten 2 picks so far. They've been able to do enough damage against the frontline fighters of UBC Thunder. So we do see the Magneto coming through instead from MSJZ. They haven't had a chance to really play Captain America this entire time, so unfortunate for them, but Mag is just one of those standard bread and butter Vanguards, and we'll see them be used to fruition. And while we do see the Bucky available for DPS Jeffy Poo, I'm looking for them to try and get their ultimate online as quickly as possible. They have the Kraken Impact available to them now. We also have the Omega Hurricane about to be online as well. Brainiac Bounce at some point, but they still have a long way to go. And, well, they do need to pop the Invisible Boundary if they want to stay alive, and that's exactly what they're doing here. No Sharknado coming through with Jeff NATO, but they're still going to do some good damage, baiting out those ultimates. And Jessica actually using the damage boost here to see if they can take them away, using the Kraken Impact with it as well. And I like this combination from the side of Alaska Fairbanks Varsity. This is a great combo. This is the best look we've seen them for the first fight.
I'm going to pop your bubble right there. If you look over at Adderall's side, the guy's got a Dance of the Butterfly ready to go and rip onto University of Alaska's backline. And sure, I like the fight win using it, but now he just gets a free ultimate here. Surely he can just dive in and take out, you know, University of Alaska's backline. Like, this is just a free Psylocke ultimate. Pair that up with the Sonic Seduction, that might be the move.
Did have the God of Thunder coming out as well, though, from He Who Spades, trying to do enough AoE damage to keep them off the objective. Support ults galore, though. Meteor M on towards the backline. DPS Jeffy Poo actually can't survive long enough, and MSJZ, a double of their own, still waiting for the Dance of the Butterfly because they don't need it just yet when the rest of their team is slaying out.
Very well played from UBC Thunder. I really thought he was going to let this rip after that invisible boundary, but University of Alaska Fairbanks does go down there. The swap from the composition from UBC Thunder as Xbox Live is going to be channeling that portal. I think they'll be able to get it in. Let's see.
That they do, and there's the Omega Hurricane following through afterwards. Beautiful work. Dance of the Butterfly, though, waiting for them to come out of it. Finally, they'll be able to counter them at least a little bit with the extra damage that's being boosted. Invisible Boundary, too. And here's the Dance of the Butterfly now enacted on the backline. 1 goes down, so does 2. And there goes the rest of the squad. The perfect capture of the first point.
Very well played from Adderall. And I love that Psionic Seduction, specifically right when Xbox Live popped out of that portal. Very well played from them. And I like the move that University of Alaska tried to do, right? Vivi Silverhand came in with that Omega Hurricane, tried to get UBC Thunder off of the point, forced a reaction, forced a support ultimate, but like you mentioned, and like we talked about, that Dance of the Butterfly having essentially free reign as Chezkua was nowhere near that Luna Snow ult. And now we see a little bit of a composition swap. Strange for Xbox Live is just going to get absolutely mauled.
Not where they wanted to find themselves, in between a rock and a root on the side of Yggdrasil Path, and they need to pick up their teeth after they got kicked in on the curb there. So a good look from UBC Thunder, but VTOM holding on to their Psionic Seduction, waiting for their prime chance to strike and seduce the backline. Oh, Omega Hurricane actually coming through this time quickly as well. I feel like that's a little preemptive, though. Easily bat it away and suffocate the Hurricane from getting started. But as I say that, there's the damage boosted play from University of Alaska Fairbanks, and they take it in stride. UBC Thunder, even with the Brainiac bounce online, they can't even do anything with it.
Yeah, Chezkua once again, right? Popping that Luna Snow ultimate, A, to save Vivi, but also to damage boost that Omega Hurricane through the invisible boundary from Internet User. But if you look at UBC Thunder, their ult economy is looking a little bit better. We'll see if Jenny Sun is willing to pop this ultimate and get that damage boosted Brainiac bounce. Moji Shark does have the invisible boundary ready, available for University of Alaska. Xbox Live is going to have to hit a massive Eye of Agamotto to swing this fight in their favor. He's looking for the opportune time.
whip up as well from Mr. Fantastic. I have Agamotto though, but no, the Sonic Seduction counters it and they get frozen instead. Dance of Both Worlds comes through. Invisible Boundary as well. Meteor M, if they can get a good pick on it, might be enough. A great shield play though from the Doctor Strange to keep them away from it. So we do see MSJZ at least trying to stay alive, but I did hear a bit of some DPS Jeffy Poo with the last stand available, and they didn't really get the conversions that they wanted. Another Omega Hurricane. Vivi has been so clinical with how quickly they build these up, and another freeze onto Adderall, forcing out the Dance of the Butterfly, taking out the back line, but that was a great stop, at least for now. But UBC Thunder finally able to fight their demons off from the second checkpoint, and they will capture it.
Both of these points have been won the same way, Audible. Cheskua opts in to use the Luna Snow ult to damage boost one of the DPSs, and then once Invisible Boundary gets baited out, Moji Shark has to use it for one of the Brainiac Bounce or the Sonic Seduction or something like that. Adderall comes in to clean it up with the Dance of Butterfly. The first point was a triple kill for himself. This one was a quadra kill. Now, I'm looking into my crystal ball. If they do that again, I'm thinking the third point is going to be taken the same way.
Can't allow the Emma and Psylocke to be available like they have been, and well, we see how effective it is for UBC Thunder. Agamotto does get pushed back by the gravity pull and push from the Invisible Woman. That's why they need to wait for that to be wasted before going for it. Too many counters to the Eye of Agamotto nowadays, but DPS Jeffy Poo is going to be the counter to Don Quixote on the Mr. Fantastic, so they do keep it at bay for now.
Yeah, and I'm not hating this Wolverine pick. Again, DPS Jeffy Poo trying to get the kidnaps going for the rest of the team, but when Invisible Women's are there, when the bubbles are there, it becomes really hard to play Wolverine as long as they're actively playing around it with their cooldowns. Jenny Sun does have the Luna ult available, could be using it in anticipation of this Omega Hurricane, but I'd like to burn the Invisible Boundary. Instead, they're going to opt in for the Luna Ultimate to come in and save their team, and then damage boost after. Looks like Jenny Sun and Cheskua are going to be trading Luna Snow Ultimates, but unfortunately, when it's a damage boosted Dance of the Butterfly, it's just going to rip through everybody.
Can't do anything to stay alive, having to go back to the spawn to hope to not get staggered too much, but they will dash in and slice and dice the rest of them. University of Alaska Fairbanks varsity only has one final hold that they can put up against them. Thankfully, they do have a couple ultimates available. Meteor M, last stand as well, and the Invisible Boundary, but it's also come down to timing. Brainiac Bounce does go through. Meteor M from MSJZ, or JZ, excuse me. He Who Spades also has their own Meteor M. Neither of them really getting the picks that they wanted, but Jenny Sun going down is massive. They don't have the Luna Snow available to them. They don't have any chance to get back, but you see them going for the portal instead. Now there is the Wolverine and taking them off the objective and trying to force them off the OT, but the portal does come through by Jenny Sun, buying them at least a couple more seconds in the shield so it won't get delayed. Wolverine actually just charges into the portal and stops them from even touching the point. Oh my goodness!
What a play. What a play. You want to go through this portal, you got to get through me. Charges heroically in. That could have gone horribly, right? DPS Jeffy Poo could have got bursted. He could have died.
I think there was a last stand as well.
Yeah, there was a last stand potentially ready to go. Like, University of Alaska Fairbanks have put themselves in a position to win this map and potentially take us to a map 4 here. Because it didn't go all the way, it's nearly 3 points. I would say it's 2 points and 98% there. There is a world where the Fairbanks can actually come away with a map win, especially because it doesn't look like Don Quixote is willing to swap off of this Mr. Fantastic, but this time we see V-Tom on the Hella, and like I said, Adderall is going to be going onto that Venom. You've got 4 players that can both play Duelist and Vanguard. And as I say that, I'm sorry, Don Quixote. I underestimated you. He's going to swap over to Namor. Is this guy listening? Is he in my walls, by the way? What is he doing?
I think he is. I mean, he's on the West Coast as well, so maybe the connection's just that much better for him to hear your comms or something. But DPS Jeffy Poo, though, looking at them on the Psylocke this time and seeing what they can do for their squad. I mean, we saw them get 9 final hits, do some good work on the University of Alaska Fairbanks varsity side. But the big thing is everyone on the team, except from strategists got some good final hits. They were all contributing to that final hold at the end towards the spawn room. So all comes down to this one for their side of things.
Man, I like this dive coming out from Adderall here, using the terrain. He's going to be able to swing out pretty easily. You've got to confirm kills with these dives. You can't just be putting the pressure on. You've got to, either Hella or Namor needs to be there when the dive is ready to burst that individual down. Because if you just go on that backline, you waste all your cooldowns. You actually give up so much space. That's a double Venom battle. Xbox Live trying to do what he can. Gets taken down, though.
Yeah, dove in without much of a plan, it felt like, on that play. And we do see the wall of water come through and at least reduce some of the healing, but you do see the drop down. Vivi Silverhand getting taken out, and Vitom as well. Some trades between these two teams, but the moral of the story is that the god of the seas is here to reign supreme in Don Quixote.
Yeah, that you know, reduced healing on top of the Venom dive really is what kind of puts the 1-2 punch to this. And we just need Vitom to come in and hit a couple headshots, right? He just really realistically needs to hit 1 or 2 on top of that dive, on top of the team up from the Namor, and it's over as the horn is available. Might be looking to drop it a little bit early if, you know, University of Alaska overcommit here. Nice Feast the Abyss. Doesn't really land on anybody, but maybe we'll be able to give him some time here as the kill comes in.
Oh, Vivi Silverhand. I don't think the Daredevil is the best bet on this play, so we'll see if they stick with it or swap to something else. They do almost have to let the Devil out available to them as well, but they're getting pushed back to the brink, and this is another deja vu scenario, right? We saw them get stopped on convergence. Couldn't really do too much of it. They got like past the first checkpoint at least, but because of this convoy, they're having less luck so far. I mean, Xbox Live even being forced to swap to the Hulk this go around to try and build up that World Breaker Hulk. They have the Eye of Agamotto available. The Namor is going to survive, but at least the backline does go down. A good bubble onto the Hela, and they somehow can't stay alive themselves. Great snipe from Vitom. A good pushback, and DPS Jeffy Poo having the Kraken impact does force them out of play. Oh no! Good cook.
Thunder is gonna get staggered here. Adderall, unfortunately, won't be able to join this fight, and I don't think actually anyone can swap over to the Strange Portal because they've all got ultimates ready to go. Are they gonna actually be able to contest and walk this down? They should be there, as there's only 2 members pushing this cart. Now 1. University of Alaska is trying to do their best, but the ultimate bevy has started. Jenny-san pops the between both worlds.
Great between both worlds. We'll see if they get any damage boost too, especially with the reduced healing that comes through, trying to snipe the rest of the competition. Hell Unleashed here with the extra damage, but there is the shield from the Doctor Strange completely blocking it, so it's a moot point. Doesn't matter though when Don Quixote is getting doubles themselves and taking them off the objective for now. World Breaker Hulk is contained, and they will be sent back to the Gulag themselves. So UBC Thunder, good lockdown for that first checkpoint, and time ticking down. 40 seconds before University of Alaska Fairbanks varsity gets swept in this series.
And they had 5 ults prior to that fight. Vaudable, UBC Thunder has still held on to 3, right? Feast of the Abyss is available, Meteor M, and the Invisible Boundary in the event that somehow University of Alaska picks up an ultimate, whether it's the Kraken Impact, the Eye of Agamotto. I mean, Vivi Silverhand surely won't be able to build up a Omega Hurricane in time. It's 15 seconds on the clock. University of Alaska have to start moving, and moving now.
Oh, the Feast the Abyss as well, making it difficult. Eye of Agamotto, you can hear popping off in the background. They need to get back to their defensive line to keep them alive. And a great drop down for a KO. Pushed forward is Internet User, and look at how many ultimates still available. Meteor M is going to be a dunk onto the competition if they even need to use it. Invisible Boundary, a last-ditch effort as well, but look how many support ults they still have remaining. They don't even need to worry about a single one of them. Somebody finally trying to touch the last second, and Armed and Dangerous. No, they're just going to be armed and undangerous because they can't even get to the objective with the Kraken Impact, and yet again 0 points are awarded to University of Alaska Fairbanks varsity. It will be UBC Thunder completing the sweep for the 2nd time, only dropping a single map in their journey to the grand finals for the West playoffs of Division 3.
And Adderall finally picking up an MVP for himself, with Jenny-san picking up 2. I mean, did a really good job. Showed the hero flexibility we talked about. I mean, UBC Thunder coming away with that 3-0 victory. Vaudable, This is the first time we've had a 3-0 double day for us. Most of the time, if not every single time we've casted, there's been at least one best of 5 that goes the distance. But very well played to UBC Thunder. They are going to make their way to the grand finals. And unfortunately for University of Alaska, they are going to be playing in the consolation bracket for that 3rd place placement. UBC Thunder, I find it hard to believe that this team has a match, has an equal, when so many different members can just swap at the like you said, at the drop of a dime, right? Like they could just swap their comp and say, I'm going to play Captain America. I'm going to play, Mr. Fantastic. I'm going to play, Bucky, Namor, all this kind of stuff. I mean, they play the good stuff. They play the OP stuff, and they got a little bit of pocket picks ready to go. How do you deal and play against a team like this? It feels impossible to game plan against them.
You don't. I mean, we saw the ban on the Spider-Man, and it came too late. We saw how effective Venom was, but because they banned the Spider-Man and weren't even focusing on the Hela, I feel like because the Hela bans always came from UBC and not the other side, it made it difficult for them to figure out, oh, do we need to also focus on the Hela Namor? Yes, you also need to focus on the Hela Namor because of how effective UBC are in multiple different compositions, especially the unorthodox one that we saw. They just don't know what to ban against them. And that's similar to what we've seen in Ignite for teams like Virtus Pro, right? Where they had that Daredevil that came out that was so effective. They had the Captain America that they just kept saving every single time so no one could do anything against it because they're not going to ban a Captain America first. And that's what ended up happening here with even the MRC specific bans, is that you have to focus on something at the start, but there's always going to be one comfort pick available for the other team to save. And if you don't have answers to it, especially with the Angela getting banned out every time, mind you, it's just a tough spot to find themselves in. So it was a slippery slope from the start that they completely free-falled afterwards, and they just could not recover. So hopefully in the future, they'll be able to have some better options against it, maybe more flexible heroes that they themselves can pick. But I think it was just a bit of an outclassing from one side to the other. So best of luck in that 3rd place match. But UBC, whoever faces them in the grand finals, has their work cut out for them.
Yeah, gonna be tough here. That grand finals match with whatever we end up broadcasting next week, whether that's gonna be the Div 1 finals or Div 2, Div 3,
we still
whatever.
got stuff this week, though. Rocket League CS tomorrow, League on Thursday, Overwatch 2 on Friday. Nothing next week, mind you, because it is Thanksgiving week. So grand finals for all competitions, first week of December, into 2 weeks on that side, Shibby.
And as we get into the break for next week, I kind of know what I want, right? I know what I want to pick up here. I think for me, I need Wenzel's Farms meat sticks. Made in Wisconsin. They go great with gaming, which I'm going to be doing a lot of over the Thanksgiving break. Having that extra time, especially working adults like me and you. Thanksgiving break is amazing, right? That's our time to catch up on everything that we need to. And realistically, Wenzel's Farms, they've got 14 mouth-watering flavors.
That's a lot.
And they've been making it since 1977, way before me, you, or most of the esports competitions were born. I don't think anyone that's a competitor now in any major tier 1 esport, I don't think they were born in 1977. So, they've been around before esports. They'll probably be around after esports. So you might as well eat them when you're doing esports. I think that's the big thing. Really, really good. They're tasty. So many different flavors. It's actually crazy. Like I need a Wenzel's Meat Farm money spread, but with the meat spread. I need a meat spread.
Well, this is actually our final show for the semester here, Shibby. It's a little bittersweet. It's been great to cover the action here for NECC, for Marvel Rivals Collegiate. We get to hand things off for those playoffs finals in 2 weeks' time to CB and Keg. But Shibby, do you have any final thoughts before we send things away?
I'm just excited on the future for Marvel Rivals Collegiate Esports. I think the fact that we had 8 different divisions, Div 1 to 8, and I don't even want to get into the amount of different subdivisions there are, like the East A, West A, West, like there's so many, and we were able to
over 200 teams signed up, mind you.
Yeah, like 200 teams. You've got people playing down in gold all the way up to one above all players. We've got professional players competing at collegiate level, right? Like there is such a open pathway for what this game has and what it has to offer within the collegiate space. The fact that NetEase was able to, create such a robust
Thank
esports
you.
scene with the tournament within like what 2 months after the game's released, 3 months, and adapt that over to the collegiate side. I mean, shout out to obviously NECC for being right on the money, right, with it. Like, hey, we're gonna pick this up, we're gonna introduce this. Them being the first and only current official collegiate partner with Marvel Rivals is really, really important. It sets the stage, it sets the standard, and I think NECC has always done a good job doing that. So obviously shout out to them and shout out to NetEase for officially licensing and sponsoring NECC for these tournaments.
Also, the like collegiate perks that college students get just to have free costumes in the game. Like no game does that. Make sure you get those. I think they just announced new ones recently that they're refreshing up with that too. So take advantage of those perks and send in your I think it's college email just to confirm it. They have like a little form for it too. But shout out to our production crew, Reached At and Rare Adam, who made this all possible today. Shout out to you, Shibby, for being my duo for the semester. We'll be back next semester though in the spring. Make sure you sign up when those signups go live. Figure out your teams for the spring because the competition only gets more competitive. Thank you for tuning in to the semifinals of the NECC Marvel Rivals Collegiate. We'll see you in just 2 weeks' time with the finals with CB and Keg.